Shockbooks Media. Spark curiosity.
You are now listening to the High Voltage Podcast. Mondays at 10 a.m. Presented by Shockbooks Media. Happy listening.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the High Voltage Podcast. I am RJ Cashmere and I'm back with my friends, my man from the Goonie brand. Say what's up.
Yo, what's good? This is Scension. What's good with y'all?
Say what's up to my guy from Sold Not Told TV, UptownTre.
What's good? What's good? Peace, peace.
And you may know him from the High Voltage Twitch stream or Rex's rant. Say what up to Rex Numero.
Hola, domo arigato, that's too Spanish.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that or what any of that means, but we're back and we are here to chop it up with y'all about a few more, topics that's going on in the week. First, let me check in with everybody here. How's everybody doing? How's everybody's week been?
Everything's everything.
Everything is everything.
You faking? You should be hype right now.
I know. I'm saying.
News, right?
He's like playing it cool. He's playing it cool.
Good. Everything's good, man.
Man, you holding back the smile right now.
We popping bottles, celebrations to UptownTre. Congrats on the new gig. You know what I'm saying? Out here, paper chasing. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool, that everybody's, doing well. Everybody, kind of hanging in there with this quarantine and everything still going on. Everybody's still kind of home, so we just kind of chopping it up about the wild stuff that's going on in this crazy moment in time in history. Wilder things that's going on is that, we're under the direction of a pretty incompetent leader, to put it mildly. And the elections are coming up for, a new president. Presidential elections are looming. We have a Democratic candidate. We have a Republican candidate. They have been established for some time now. Somehow, some way, there's a new party. The birthday party. The birthday party boasts its own candidate, Kanye West. Yes, the college dropout, Mr. Late Registration, Mr. Graduation, Kanye West is a candidate. Not only is he a candidate, he held his first official presidential rally the other day. In this presidential rally, oh my goodness. Did y'all see this presidential rally? Did y'all see this?
I'll be real. I saw clips of it. I didn't see the whole rally. I couldn't bring myself to seeing the whole rally of that. It's just like knowing Kanye, knowing what he was saying recently, knowing what he said in the past. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure. When I seen the clips, it was hard to watch.
I'm gonna say the same. It was hard to watch. I didn't actually even know that it was going on. I actually bumped into it just by accident, just like people just kind of being like in an uproar about the stuff he was saying. Like the first thing I saw was Harriet Tubman trending on like Twitter, and I click on it like thinking, okay, Harriet Tubman, the $20 bill maybe or something. Nope, not the $20 bill. It's Kanye West saying that Harriet Tubman did not really free the slaves. She actually just sent them to go work for other white people. What do y'all think of this whole Kanye West presidential bid in general? Like, do you think, the things that he was saying during the presidential rally, the way he was conducting himself as, somebody who's supposed to be a presidential hopeful, do you think that's something that, is he doing this to really show compassion and passion for the country and he wants to help? Or is he doing it for promotion? Or is he just really mentally sick and somebody's exploiting him and nobody's really trying to help him out?
It's a mixture of all three.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You say that.
He needs to be put in a padded room, spongy walls, got the jacket that's hugging him real tight so he can feel some love. Man, I feel like he wants to help, but he's not on that level mentally or intellectually. He hasn't done the education like he thinks he has. He's definitely a Wikipedia researcher. And as far as like anything about promotion, the album was supposed to come out today. Wasn't then I was, and then when I saw the title it was called Donda, I'm like, didn't he already do that or did he forget? Cause I feel like he did this like 5 years ago and also said it was going to be called Donda and then changed it.
You're right. I think he did have some
like,
kind of that idea.
I feel like his go-to is anything involving his mother when he's having a bipolar episode. He's like, it's going to be called Donda. It's Donda. Like, it's going to go off. Like, Donda is like the safe word. It's like banana. It's like banana. Donda.
It's really crazy to see this play out because, like, he really had, like, a whole meltdown at the rally. Like, he started talking about abortion and just, like, lost it. Like, he just started, and it wasn't even like, sometimes you get emotional, you talk about something, you might get choked up. It wasn't even like that. It was like, this guy was like, and he was talking through it like that and stuff like that and, like, yelling people at the crowd. Like, if you're really serious about being a president, is this how you would conduct yourself? I don't know, Rex, how do you feel? What do you feel about this whole Kanye thing?
Yo, honestly, even with everything that Kanye said and did, bro, I feel like he deserved to win the election just as much as anybody right now, bro. Like, literally just as much as Trump or Biden. They all just saying crazy shit. And it's like, how are they all like running for president right now? Like, how is this what the presidency has been reduced to? Is how I feel about it. I'm like, how do we go from Obama to this? Like, we literally just went from like one of the best to just like a total circus, like shit show, dog and pony show. Everybody just trolling. Biden, he don't know what the fuck he talking about. This nigga said Trump was the first racist president, bruh. What do you mean? There was a whole line of racist presidents. They were all racist. Like, every single one.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Especially Nixon and Reagan. Reagan, nigga. Reagan.
Andrew
what
Jackson.
About the slave owners, man?
You know what I'm saying? Andrew Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's yes, like, literally every president has been racist. Like, yeah, I don't think we've had one that's just been like, I just,
But I mean, to somebody like Joe Biden, it's probably not racism. To them, it's like, oh, that's normal. That's regular stuff. Like, I mean, you don't think George Washington or John Adams or somebody thought that they were being racist when they had slaves? They're just like, nah, we got slaves. You got slaves? Yeah, like, my slaves over here. My slaves do real good. They build houses. Your slaves do what they do. Like,
Joe Biden is definitely like wild. Like, he's a wild candidate. But I mean, even though they're all like very terrible options, I have to say, Joe Biden stands above the other two extremely clearly to me. Like, I have to choose him because the other two, number one of them right now, you already see the fucking hellfire we're in. Like, we're literally hundreds of thousands of people are dying. People are getting murdered in the streets and no one is caring. He's arguing with journalists about charters and shit. Like, it's wild right now. You know what I'm saying? And then Kanye over here, on the other hand, he's having meltdowns on Twitter saying that Kim's coming to get him and like with doctors to pick him.
I mean, he's probably not lying about that. But
he's probably not. I mean,
yeah.
All right, let's talk about
I'll
that.
be real. The little baby part's what got me though. Like, I was reading all the stuff he was saying that he drops on there, and Lil Baby, my favorite rapper, and he won't return or he won't do a verse with me. When I read that, I was like, I don't know about this guy right now. Everything else kind of made sense. I feel like he made up the Lil Baby part, to which came out later. Lil Baby's like, I had no idea he wanted me on the song.
That's true.
So it's like, is it trolling? Is he really having mental? Is he half there, half not? Does he have moments where he's mentally off and he takes it to extreme to promote afterwards to kind of.
And I think that's the question, because I think some people feel like he could be playing on that bipolarism to like, you know, troll and like get attention, and it's convenient whenever his album is coming or whenever something's dropping. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, people are also like, you look at the Kardashian family, what they've done to other black males. You know, this is what people are saying. You know, other black males have been infected by their family or whatever. And, you know, Kanye mentioned that the movie Get Out was about him. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody kind of already had that kind of thought that, you know, he was in that kind of situation already anyway. Is he really in that situation and crying out? Because, I mean, he was mentioning, like, the Jenners and stuff wanted to have his daughter just and stuff do like Playboy shoots at this age, and like they won't return his calls, and they're trying to put him in a conservatorship like they did Britney Spears and stuff. Like,
I feel like they're not going to have them doing Playboy shoots at this age. What he's more like looking at is Chris as a mother was okay with Kim doing a Playboy shoot, to which, although their father's not there, he probably would say something against that. So in essence, he looks at her like she's willing to exploit her children. She's willing to exploit her bloodline to come up, to make money, because they came up off a sex tape. The way they talk about it now, I don't think they're really going to be married that much longer, which is kind of sad for all them kids, because they really do have like a lot of kids. It's more than just like one or two. Like every time you turn around, they got a whole new kid from a surrogate mom. It's like,
But
it's
that's
great.
her. She get $1 million for each kid when they.
Probably.
and you know, that's the sad thing.
Said that when they first got married. I ain't making that up.
What was it?
For each kid they have, she gets $1 million if they divorce. That's in the prenup.
And you know what? That's another thing, because Kim is like, it's being reported that she's like actually actively, you know, talking to divorce lawyers and all that type of stuff, and that has people speculating like, what does that prenup look like? Does it exist? Like, what? I mean, I think it would have to exist. Like, Kim on her side, and for sure, I'm sure she has something where Kanye had to sign. And Kanye rapped about it, at least in Doe Digger, so you would think that he had the sense to do it himself, but he rapped about a lot of things that he's kind of contradicting right now. But at the same time, do you think that Kanye right now is a billionaire, because he's now, you know, certified billionaire rapper, is looking right, because he could easily get that billionaire status?
It really depends. You gotta look at like Jeff Bezos, who got divorced recently. He lost a chunk of money, but now he's richer than he's ever been. So like a lot of times when your money's in your ownership of a company, the company's gonna grow if it's in stock, so it's not as much liquid. When you have liquid money, that's cool, you can spend it. But when it's not liquid, it grows a lot easier. You have that money just sitting in a bank account, it's just sitting in a bank account. You gotta invest your money when you're investing it, when it's not really in your hands. Like a lot of times people talk about Dame Dash, he's like, I don't have like liquid cash, I have ownership in this. And he might be talking wild and reckless about something, but he's not stupid about that. Like if you have your money and it's not liquid, it's in something, you really don't have the money to pay this bill or that bill, but it's going to grow a lot faster. So in essence, you need some of it to be liquid to kind of cover overhead. But outside of that, you want your money to kind of not be in your hands. You don't want it just sitting in a bank account so it can grow. Because in essence, when Jeff Bezos had to break off, was it half or something like that? He has more money than he ever had. He's on his way to make $1 trillion. Is she there?
He just got $10 billion more, which is crazy. $10 billion more added onto his wealth. World's richest man, crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, and you know that's the aspect to look at it on. Does anybody else have any thoughts on like the prenup situation with or Kanye in general? Like, is anybody looking forward to the album that is supposed to be coming? Like, is anybody excited to hear?
There's
no album.
There's no album. And if it is, it's garbage.
Yeah.
There was a single that came out. There is an album. I'm gonna tell you,
There's a single.
There was an album because he's working with Dre. So there is an album. I don't think we want to hear it.
That might actually confirm that there's not an album. Really working with Dre.
You said that he worked with Dre. What does that mean?
That joint ain't never coming out.
That joint gonna be called Donda Detox.
Like shit. I gotta get the baby's producer on that joint. He listening to Dre.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. The Washed in the Blood joint was kind of cool. Like, I heard the single, The Washed in the Blood joint. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, it sounded like it was cool. Don't want to hear a full album of what he has to offer right now. I don't know. He's just too all over the place. I don't have good album Kanye vibes in the last couple albums I've heard, to be honest. So, but moving on from Kanye, because he is just a frustrated mess, to some other news. We got a legend stepping back into the ring. We got Iron Mike Tyson coming back. Now, let me not also discount the other legend who will also be stepping back into the ring, Roy Jones Jr., who will be fighting against him. It's going to be an 8-round exhibition match on September the 12th, I believe it is. And, apparently it's going to be pretty light. You know what I'm saying? They're going to, not go for knockouts. They're going to have, bigger gloves and whatnot, Going to make a good spectacle to fans, have some cool undercard. I think Nate Robinson and that white guy from YouTube is going to be fighting. I forgot his name. I think it's Jake something. But yeah, I think...
The guy from YouTube. I'm like, man, isn't that the dude who's always fighting or doing something stupid?
He is. He's always like saying some racist shit to somebody and then ended up in there like.
Didn't he get caught looting?
What's his name?
I don't even know. It's like Jake something.
A white guy named Jake.
Oh, Jake Paul.
Yes, it's Jake Paul. Yeah, that nigga.
Got a brother and they both do stupid, weird white boy stuff and they get money for it.
I mean, he did do an MMA match for somebody recently. And I think he won that match, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or something.
He fight MMA now?
He did.
I'm telling
He's doing all kinds of fights. He's doing all kinds of wild, like.
Them dudes on YouTube do whatever for the bag. I'm telling you, they the type to eat doo-doo on YouTube. Like, yo, like you dare me
bullshit.
You dare me eat a plate of cat feces right now?
And this is like the perfect platform for that. So he hopped onto it, man. But this is a huge spectacle. Like a lot of people are going to tune in to see Mike Tyson come back. A lot of people want to see what Roy Jones Jr. can do now. Like, I mean, they say they're not going for knockouts and all that. What do y'all feel about this? Are y'all excited about this? How you feel?
I mean, I feel like it's gonna be entertaining to see him out there again. There's not a lot of boxing going on right now. Like there's some top ranked fights that go on ESPN. But most of those are kind of like no-name fighters. Every once in a while, they got somebody with a little bit of a name or a little bit of a record, some recognition. But there's no, like, big matches going on right now. Everybody's looking forward to, like, some bigger matches down the line, but down the line might be a while from now. So you're kind of looking for something to watch. So, like, seeing Mike Tyson, although he's not in his heyday, you've seen little videos of him, like, throwing punches. He's a lot more sober, although he's smoking. It's just like he's not on the other shit, to which he's basically said like he's been on coke for like a brick, been drinking for like a brick. So like right now he's off of the wild stuff. So he might be a little bit more of like a younger Mike, but it's still like a 40, 50-year-old Mike coming out there to fight. Like he's in mad dope shape. I wonder if he's gonna get hit one time and he's gonna snap and forget it's like an exhibition and we're just chilling. Is he just gonna go for it? Because, like, Mike in the ring, when he's going for it, I've seen him, like, about to lose. And his mind goes to, I'm either going to bite him or I'm going to break his arm. Like, he literally grabs arms and tries to break. Like, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if I really want to pay for that. I don't know if it's a paid thing. And it really depends on how much it's going to cost if I have to pay for it. But outside of that, it's going to be interesting.
Rex, what do you think?
I was going to say, first of all, I just want to know, who is on the undercard for this fight? Sugar Ray Leonard? Like,
no bull. What if he did come back?
Like, is this about to be the old man boxing league now, bro? They just gonna start bringing everybody out of retirement, bro. Muhammad Ali dead. They gonna bring him out of retirement.
That's an interesting point though, because I mean, like with the big three in the NBA and stuff like that, they got old people doing, playing the sport again. Like maybe if this is successful, maybe older boxers who are still in shape, i.e. Bernard Hopkins and people like that, maybe they come back and they're like, hey man, I'm trying to get back in some older
boxing is different. Like you've had older boxers fight. Like Bernard Hopkins was old when he was still fighting. George Foreman was old as shit when he was still boxing.
That's true.
Not Mike Tyson.
And got a world heavyweight championship too. So.
Yeah. So you get some older boxers because it's different. If you stay in shape, you stay in the right mentality, it's possible.
54, dog.
I got
they was old, but they were at 54.
That's a crazy age. Trey, you gonna watch that?
Nah. I will not watch the big three of boxing anytime soon.
Hey, so you're not trying to see Iron Mike. You see Iron Mike's like videos lately, like when he's throwing.
Last time I saw Mike Tyson was on, what's it called, All Elite Wrestling on TNT, and he could barely rip his shirt off when he was trying. He got whooped by there. I ain't watching that.
But they've been showing workout videos on Mike, like he been on the beach, in the sand, like flipping over like steel cages. He's been wrestling.
But Mike Tyson's not doing that because he's in shape. He's doing that because he's crazy.
Yeah.
But that actually,
Flip over mailboxes and trash cans. He's out of his mind.
you know what? But that's the wild thing though, because Scension mentioned it though about what if Mike goes into that mode where he take that one punch and he snap. Because I listened on his podcast where he was talking and he was like, yo, I'll never want to do boxing again. I was such an evil person. I went to such a dark place. I was really like a crazy person. Like I was an animal and stuff. Like the way he talked about it and the way he was like, yo, I don't even want to go back to that place mentally because like it consumes you. And I'm thinking like, okay, he probably never even gonna like really touch the sport of boxing again. To see him wanting to get back in the ring now, I think, like Essential said, does he have that on-off switch? Can he just get out there and like, just throw some punches and like, do some like cool shit? Like, or is he gonna try to take this nigga's head off one time if this nigga take a good punch to the stomach or something? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yo, George Foreman was 48 in his last professional fight. Boxing's different.
He won?
I don't think he won. I gotta look that up. But like,
not in his last one, but he did win in his 40s. He did win the heavyweight
he didn't win.
of the world. In his 40s, he got the heavyweight championship of the world.
Yeah.
You can't see that.
It's barely, what he's selling grills at the time?
I mean, he was selling grills, but he knocked that nigga out with the right hand. You know what I'm saying? He clean knocked him out. He said, boom, boom. Dude went down.
But that's why he started losing. You gotta be all in. You can't be selling grills at Macy's and then try to be
like, real. He was mad out of shape. I have no idea how he lasted in the ring. He was like George Foreman was in his shape when he came back. Let's not get it twisted. That nigga was fat. Like that nigga was big as shit. I don't know how. I have no idea how he lasted rounds, but maybe he's just a boxing genius. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Yo, another age, Bernard Hopkins, 51 at his last fight. He did lose that fight. And I'll be real with you. I don't remember if it was that fight or a fight or two before it. He did get punched out of the ring. I saw that one too. I felt bad for my man. Like,
I think it happened to him twice. I think it happened to him a couple of fights before that. And his last fight, he got knocked out of the ring.
Yo, Roy Jones got knocked out by like an Asian dude. I was like, what the fuck?
Even Roy Jones was forced to lean back.
I was like, how you get knocked out by an Asian dude?
Hey.
Nah, but for real. Roy Jones Jr.,
he was like 40, like 8 or some shit, bro.
When he got knocked out the first time, Roy Jones Jr. could like never get it back. Like he got knocked out like every time. Like he could never get knocked out. And then when he finally got caught, that nigga never got it back. He never ever was Roy Jones Jr. again. I'm sorry to say that. He's one of my boxers. But he never got it back.
Though, like, because in essence, it's not like football where you kind of can say the same for football. Some people say AB got a certain hit and he's not really been the same in the head. That's when you see all the wild hairstyles.
Well, see, he's been a good football player, though. He's just wild in the fucking head. He's just off.
But something is about him is a little bit different. So, like football, you don't have to be as mentally there as you have to be for boxing. Boxing, you're like reacting to every second. You're really defending yourself the whole time. You're attacking and you're defending. You're fighting for your life at that moment. You're putting your like life up for money.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different. Like you're going out there to catch a ball, you just got to duck a tackle. You can get hit, but you can be all right with that joint. You can be a little off in that joint. But like boxing, every second of it, you got to be ready for that. So it's a little bit different. You get popped at one good time, that CTE might have really took over a little bit, or something might have took over in his head a little bit, where he's just not fully there.
That is true. And that makes me think because Trey, he mentioned that he wouldn't watch this fight. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that he would pay to see. Who would pay to see in the game right now? Like who's the guy that's drawing some box office in boxing? Me, I'm gonna have to say, if Canelo's fighting, I'm gonna watch. You know what I'm saying? That's one of them things I'm gonna watch. Tyson Fury. He's the guy right now. I think he is like undisputed the guy right now. And then maybe like, just personal, like cool people like, Deontay, you know what I'm saying? Javante, you know what I'm saying? Those are some cool people to watch. What do y'all say? Who's y'all digging?
Personally, I used to like Triple G. I've only paid to see one Triple G fight. I think that was the Canelo fight. I didn't pay to see the subsequent other fights. I didn't like I didn't like how that one ended in the draw. Then he started losing. Triple G was a really good fighter. You got to think he's getting to a certain age where it's like it might not be worthwhile to really pay to see that anymore.
For sure.
I'm probably going to pay for the next Deontay fight because I'm a Deontay fan. I've been a fan for a brick. I still think he can come back. Tyson Fury is a really nice boxer. I've seen certain fights with him. Like one of them was on ESPN Plus where he got popped early in the head, started bleeding like profusely by his eye, and still won the fight. He went like mad rounds after that. I was like, yo, he's about to go down. He found a way to go like kind of get through it. He knew how to dodge punches. He knew how to kind of move around in there. So he was interesting as a fighter. Anthony Joshua, I've never paid to see him fight. I really haven't seen much actual fights from him. I'm seeing a lot of hype. Seen he's knocked down. I've seen a record. I think I've watched Ruiz the second time. I didn't see the first time. Right. He won the second time. He came out there focused. He did work. I don't know. They said the first time he had a concussion beforehand. Maybe he wasn't mentally there. He saw this guy. He was overweight. And like, it's easy work. So it's kind of like you don't know where that is. So I want to see them like at their top level. So really, I feel like those top few, I would kind of like seeing again. There's a whole lot of other boxers that aren't pay-per-view at the moment that are interesting. Shakur Stevens. Gervonta is cool. He's not. I feel like Gervonta is a little bit of hype, and also the fact they're like picking the right people for him to fight. Like he's not going up against like crazy competition, and I can't say
doing the
like
Floyd Mayweather. You know?
Yeah, like I'm not very versed in his weight class, so I can't say there's somebody that he really needs to fight to see that. But like I feel like either somebody's in his weight class or he needs to go up or down a weight class to actually have a decent match, because it's kind of like to me with Gervonta, like you can't knock out people in just one round. You can't knock out people in the second round. I felt the same way about Deontay. I was a big Deontay Wilder fan for a brick, but they made him fight somebody and was like, yo, you're going to go the distance with this. He went the distance and won it in the distance. I feel I need to see that with Gervonta. I want to see like him go the distance, or if not the distance, I want to see him go to like the 6th round, the 8th round. I want to see like a later knockout. I want to see somebody actually put up a fight, like a try against him. I don't want to just see easy people. You keep going up against easy people. They're making a money play because he's going to catch somebody and he's going to get it.
I want to push back on that with this just real quick. Is his rise not similar to like a young Mike Tyson though, who kind of had the similar knock people out in like a couple seconds? The people they put in front of him wasn't really that tight really until like later in his career. And then like later in his career, he took a couple L's later in his career. But like he knocked out some like, who did he knock out for real? Like some people, you know what I'm saying?
I'll give the difference is Mike was like an animal. He was a monster in the ring. He literally was mentally somewhere else.
Will not take that away. He's one of the
goats. He would sell the fights, but when he was selling a fight, that was just him. He would say wild shit, and it was literally like that's where he was. I don't think that's Gervonta. And I'm thinking like back then there was a lot of mob stuff tied in. Even right now, there's probably still mob stuff tied in. So they're fixing some of these joints. They're trying to make sure certain people win. When certain people are behind other people in their corner, you know they're probably going to win. When they lose and they have somebody behind them in their corner, it's kind of interesting because it's like, oh, they took a loss in this one because they normally like 98% of the time, if so-and-so is by their corner, they're winning that fight. So it's
shady biz in boxing.
Trey, a lot of shady biz.
Who you paying to see since you're not paying to see Mike and you ain't paying to see Mike and Roy Jones Jr.?
I'm not going to lie, y'all. I don't really watch boxing unless I'm going out to some kind of event with close friends. I'm not going to hold you. What I would is I would like to see, because I'm an avid wrestling fan. I just started watching like new wrestling again, but I still go with the old wrestling videos and stuff like that.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I would pay money to see Booker T versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring again. And I would pay money. Yeah, I would pay money.
Wait. Booker T. See, now I fucks with Booker T too. That's interesting that you mentioned that you're watching the new wrestling. We should talk about that. But Booker T versus Stone Cold, because Booker T, why Booker T? Why not somebody else?
Booker T is the GOAT. Behind the Rock.
Booker T is the GOAT?
Because the Rock is default. Like he's default black because he's black and Samoan. Booker T is the GOAT black wrestler.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And Booker T, when he has segments, even when I watch it on like a little WWE network, because that's the real subscription that I watch for real. When I watch it, I forget how funny it was, and then he'll come out there and do like all the crazy stuff he would do, and then he'll break dance, after he do the move, like it was.
Booker T was dope. I can't.
But Stone Cold is like the GOAT wrestler. I would pay to see
Stone
him.
Cold is all time. It's like if you mention wrestling, I feel like there's a few names. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin is like one of those names in wrestling. Like that's just synonymous with wrestling, period. Like I think as much as I hate him as a person as well, not Stone Cold, but as much as I hate this person as a person, Hulk Hogan is also one of those type names. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And The Rock is probably up there too. You know what I'm saying? Andre the Giant. There's like a few names, but like that's interesting. What do you think of the new wrestling? Like,
I haven't. So I'm trying to watch once the pandemic is over, because there's really no point in watching that right now. Right? There's no audience. There's no crowd. Right? Actually, I didn't realize how much that mattered in wrestling until I saw those promos, and there's no crowd reacting to them with microphone. Like, who are you talking to?
You got to have the heel and the heel. Like, you got to have that whole dynamic. You know what I'm saying?
But I watched All Elite Wrestling, AEW, like before the pandemic happened. And that one was remind me of like WCW back in the day.
True.
So that drum was like, all right. And it's more updated now. Like, you can tell it's from this era, because now they got like, they have more emphasis on wrestling with women and not just like bra and panty matches and stuff like that.
I've seen that.
Actually wrestling, actually athletic. Like, it's actually like, oh, okay, I can respect it. And they actually, and what's wild, like now they got gay wrestlers. That caught me off guard a little bit. Nothing against them. Nothing against, the gay community. It just caught me off guard to see like a gay wrestler act like RuPaul in the ring. I thought it was wild.
I ain't been watching the new wrestling, bro.
This dude was whooping niggas' asses. Like,
I got a question though.
Yeah.
Say what?
If they got transsexual wrestlers, do they fight other transsexuals, or do they fight men or women, or like how's that one going down?
She's the women's champion. It's a transsexual who's the women's champion at AEW. I did not know this until like they said it, and I was like, wait, because I looked it up on like Wikipedia, because I was like, that don't look like a woman. And I looked it up, they were like such and such, born like Tom or something like that. I was like, oh.
That's wild. That's an interesting topic. That's
like, well, no wonder she.
I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna say this. That's dope to me. The reason that's dope to me is because what you're describing to me is some really new age wrestling shit that to me is wildly intriguing. Like, think about the characters that we saw when we grew up. If we have a transsexual wrestler, bro, and a gay one that's just wilding out on wrestling, like,
the closest thing we had to that
closest
thing we had to that growing up was probably China. Y'all remember?
Yeah, China.
That was the closest we had to like a man dressed up as a woman beating up other men in the ring. Because she actually won like a man's championship. I forgot which one. But I remember when she won it, and I was like, it's over now, because she had like the pancake titties and everything. She was like,
that's interesting.
I watched her sex tape.
That's wild.
Okay.
That's wild.
It's okay.
But that's interesting that you mentioned that though about the differences, because I also saw that discussion on Twitter as far as like the women in wrestling today and like how it is now versus like how it was back then when it was like Trish Stratus.
Oh yeah, it's very different now. Like I actually gotta respect it when I see them like really wrestle out here, and it's not like, oh my god, like you just got the baddies on out. Like, what's my guy who used to do the commentary? Jerry the King Lawler.
Yeah.
He comes and he's like, it's the baddies on. Like, he just starts wilding out when the draws come out. Like they don't do that no more. They can't even do that no more. Like, it's a whole different game now.
That's interesting. You know what? You actually have me kind of intrigued to watch some new wrestling. I might watch new wrestling.
I would say don't watch it now. Like, go on YouTube and
wait till the crowd is back. Watch some
when there's a crowd there. Don't look at it now. It's terrible.
I can feel that. I think the crowd is definitely. The crowd is a huge part of wrestling. Rex, what do you feel about as far as boxing? Who would you watch, and then also how do you feel about this wrestling? Are you
the wrestling sounds wild. I think we did forget that Rikishi used to just come out and twerk on dude's face. And like that was kind of sus. Like, we never really thought about it at the time. But looking back on it, that shit was mad sus.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
Yo, it was, yo.
he did do that.
Nah, son. I saw it
That
not
was-
too
that
long
was-
ago. Like, it was a clip of Rikishi did the Booker T. And Booker T like, ah!
nah.
I'm gonna be real. I don't know how much they paid them to do that.
And
I
like,
don't know
yo,
how much they paid them.
Son,
You know what I'm saying? Like they had to pay.
Son, Booker T
Wow,
like
but
threw up.
they're performers, you know what I'm
That's the first time I
saying?
ever seen somebody throw up from. Like Booker T like threw up on somebody after he got it. Yo, I'm wilding. Yo,
That's
I don't
hilarious.
even remember it. I
That's
hadn't
hilarious.
seen it. It's been like what, like 20 years, 15 years since I've
No,
seen
but
it. So, like,
think about that though. We have people.
I don't want to.
But think about the like if the stuff that Trey's describing. Oh man, wrestling has to be wild for the children today. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, who you gonna see? Who would you pay for in boxing?
Boxing.
You fuck with?
Terrence Crawford's pretty good. Of course, like I would watch Mayweather just to see if Mayweather lose.
Of course.
And yeah, like I would probably watch the Tyson Fury fight again. And honestly, I want to see Mike Tyson fight Young. I want to see this nigga fight Lennox Lewis again.
Why? He's gonna get stomped,
Right.
bro. You ain't know what the result of that is.
Yo, because this nigga Lennox Lewis would just whoop this nigga's ass.
Lennox
And
Lewis.
like, I'll be like, bro, yeah, why do you?
Quiet as kept. Lennox Lewis
is
is the quiet as kept. Lennox Lewis one of the goats. Like,
Yo, Lennox Lewis will probably still whoop a nigga's ass now, bro. And that nigga like 50 something too, bro. But that
He
nigga
another
just
one.
huge.
he another
He's
one
just
who fought
huge,
into his old age.
bro.
He
That
fought a
nigga-
little older.
That nigga look like an NFL defensive lineman.
Yo,
And
Lennox
that
Lewis.
nigga's a
all
boxer.
respect. All respect to Lennox Lewis, one of the greats too. Sure. But that's definitely an interesting conversation. We'll definitely check in and see how that fight goes with Mike Tyson and RJJ. But moving on to two other legends, two other old people stepping back into the ring to battle each other. The other night, what took place on the Apple platform as well as the Instagram platform now, because there's a new deal that has been struck by Verzuz. DMX versus Snoop Dogg, or like Ascension likes to call it, Snoop Dogg versus DMX XL.
Yeah.
Due to the appearance of DMX on the Verzuz. Did y'all happen to catch the Verzuz, and did y'all happen to see DMX step back out here, yo?
Yo, I did see the Verzuz. It was mad entertaining. Snoop made sure that drum was entertaining. I think I was a little bit wrong. Snoop made sure there was still a show. DMX still brought it. DMX was the biggest I've ever seen DMX, and I don't mean as much as hype. I don't mean as much as like he had a big song that came out or a new drop. Like, that was the biggest I've seen DMX, which is probably good for his health to a degree. He's one of the people where, like, if he has weight on him, that's probably a good sign, knowing the battles he's had with it. So, like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with DMX or extra large. It's like, it's cool. But as far as the battle, a lot of people were going one side of it. Everybody's saying Snoop took that joint. Personally, I feel like hip hop won. It was very entertaining. Snoop kind of gave that feeling of it where it was just like, yo, I rock with these songs, and I do rock with all them DMX songs. It reminded me, even the joints I wasn't as familiar with, the energy of it, like the way it went, the sound of the beats kind of took you to a certain era where it might not have been the biggest song on the album, but you still felt it. It was still that DMX vibe. You went back to certain DMX songs you haven't heard in a while. When he came through and did Slippin', it felt special. It's just like, Snoop is Snoop. Snoop's going to keep going in. Snoop got hits for days. You're not going to knock Snoop. Like, Snoop is that dude. And that's straight up. But, like, that matching was actually pretty cool. It was done for the dogs, and I liked it.
True. I agree with you. I think it was a good matchup. Trey, did you happen to catch any of that?
I didn't see the whole thing. I think I just saw like a clip of like Snoop Dogg Crip walking in the studio.
Yeah.
That's the only part I saw. I mean, other than that, like, I assume it's probably good because I mean, like, they got hits. They were two of my favorite rappers growing up, so it's nothing I can say to hate on it. Other than, you know, I don't know if there was any. Well, you said he's DMX XL, so I'm assuming there was no crack available within arms for him to get to.
Definitely.
And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of weed in there. You know, Snoop dancing like your drunk uncle at the cookout. You know,
all day.
There, you know.
Snoop gave mad drunk uncle vibes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought So me and Rex are actually listening to it while we were on the High Voltage Twitch stream, running some 2K the other day. And as it was coming on, like, just hearing the music, man. Like, first off, to see DMX stuff out there was wild to me. Like, because to see him in public, to see him with other people in public, that was just wild. That was cool. He was big, he was fat, which was wild to me because it's like, I've never seen DMX fat. Like, he's always been, been just like in shape type nigga, like, or like jail shape type nigga. Like, he never just let it go. Like, he looked like just like, man, I have a beer belly. I've been sitting on the couch eating chips type shit. Like, you don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's good, like you said, because it's healthy. It's like, if he had not been in the right mental space, he wouldn't have been able to do this. If he had been on, struggling with his drug addictions and stuff like that, he wouldn't be fat and happy. So it's good to see a fat and happy DMX celebrating his catalog. That's number one, straight off the bat. Number two, Snoop Dogg. I think hip hop as a whole needs to put some fucking respect. And I know we do, but even more respect on Snoop Dogg's name. First off, Snoop Dogg, not only did he orchestrate the whole party and make that whole thing feel good, he didn't let go of the whole clip. He chilled. He allowed it to be like an enjoyable back and forth. You know what I'm saying? He put some hits in there, but he held a whole hell of a lot of them back too. But at the same time, I thought it was entertaining, but I think Snoop won. Like, he just has more hits. It made me just think about Snoop. The other day we had that conversation about the greatest hip hop albums of all time. I don't think any hip hop album is better than Doggy Style, period. I think that's the holy grail of hip hop albums, hands down. If you want to say Chronic is part of Doggy Style to me because he wrote that, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're the same. But Doggy Style, like, I just had to step back and really appreciate who Snoop is in the game and what his legacy means. And what I see, so Trey look like he want to react to that. He itching to say something to that.
No, I don't want to get into it again. I thought this week. I'm gonna let it ride. That's what I
let it ride. Rex, how did you feel when we was listening to it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like pretty much the same. I feel like Snoop just got like way too many songs that you could just play at like the party and shit. DMX got some good songs too, but I feel like his catalog just not as expansive as Snoop's. But I always liked DMX. Like, I had a couple of his albums. I had the Great Depression album. And I had another album. I can't remember which one it was.
Right, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood.
Yeah. And
I feel like that genre.
I respect DMX. DMX got hits too. But nobody got more hits than Snoop Dogg. But yeah, I still respect DMX though. I didn't get to see like how he was performing. I just heard you say he was fat and out of shape. So, I mean, I gotta go back and look at the Verzuz. I couldn't get into Instagram.
He was locked out of Instagram. So, all right. Well, yeah, I definitely think that was cool for the culture. I thought it was good for the culture to see. Hopefully we have another really good one coming up. I don't know how they can top it. A lot of people are saying that this is the best one, so we'll look forward. So I actually heard today they had a real interesting debate. Ashanti versus Keisha Cole could be potentially coming. I'll tune into that. I'll fuck with both of them. I can't lie. But yeah, moving on. We have some new music in hip hop that has dropped this past week. So, and the week before, I believe, too. So it started off with DJ Khaled, who was like hyping this release with Drake for like the longest time. And he finally dropped the 2-pack Major Key Alert thing with Drake and the Owl. And the first single of which was called Pop Star. And then the second single of which is called Grease. In addition, another one of the new school hip hop trifecta people, in reference to Drake, Kendrick, and Cole, because that's who they Claim are the guys now. Cole dropped a 2-pack as well. He dropped the Climb Back and Lion King on Ice just yesterday, actually, the other night. So I want to hear from you guys.
Lion King on Ice.
If you guys listened to the tracks, did y'all hear it? And if y'all did or didn't, why not? What's y'all thoughts, reactions, all that?
All right, so I listened to all the tracks that dropped. And to be real with you, I wasn't a big fan on the Drake joints. I know the Grease joint that dropped, that really wasn't for me. I hear what it's for. It was for the females. All right, you get another song like that. No knock to that. Personally, it's the reason why I wasn't like a big Drake head early on. Like, it reminded me of like why I couldn't really rock with the Drake. It was like the Seppin Drake. I mean, it is what it is. It's Lane. He got to feel that. He hasn't been doing that in a while. He has some fans he has to kind of make happy. Let him do that. It's not for me, but I'm not going to listen to it. I mean, I guess it's the joint. Let them have their moment. You got the other song, Pop Star.
Right,
Pop Star is an interesting song. It's interesting for a couple reasons. One, I'm not a big fan of it, but more than anything, he took somebody's flow for that hook. I don't know if anybody on here is aware of this rapper. There's a rapper named Valet, or I might be pronouncing it wrong. It might be Valet. Everybody says it wrong, I've heard. He's from Chicago. An interesting part about that, I don't know if you know, last I heard, he signed good music. He was one of Pusha T's signings. He took his flow to make the hook for that. Valet's kind of fallen to a degree. I haven't heard much from him. So in essence, he kind of took somebody that really, he might be working on something, might be trying to come out with his next hit or next project, and it just hasn't dropped yet. He kind of took something from the Kanye camp, from the Pusha T ear type camp, and came out with a song. Sure. It's in essence similar to what he did with the whole the Cha-Cha song, when he took the Cha-Cha beat and came out with Hotline Bling. He's Drake, so everybody's going to jump on it. It's Hotline Bling. He kind of made Cha-Cha go like, I feel like a lot of people, when they hear Valet, or if he gets a bigger name later on, they're like, oh, he took the pop star flow. He took the pop star hook flow. It's like, no, that was really Valet. That was really Valet. Or Valet. I feel like I'm mispronouncing his name. So it's kind of going to be interesting of like hearing that later on, how that's going to progress. A lot of people say like Drake's that dude. He kind of takes flows. I know he had another song that dropped also where they're saying he's rapping in Arabic, which is okay. He just adds accents. He kind of does a new thing every time. Like, it's not my biggest thing. It's cool. It's the British flow, or he has the British rappers. I'm not a big fan of British rappers. No knocks to them, but it's just not me. I'm not really going to crank that like that. Like, there's certain songs that are okay when they're on it, but like 9 times out of 10, I'm not the biggest fan. That's not like a hate. It's just not for my ears per se. I did listen to the Cole songs. Sure. To be real with you, I can see myself playing the Cole songs back again, but they weren't like my favorite Cole songs. It wasn't like, oh, I need to hear this again. Like, it was cool, and it's really like cool songs. Like, if Cole wasn't like a known rapper, if he had like no clout, he was just coming out from jump, and this is what he dropped out, nobody would give a shit. It's one of them songs where it's kind of cool. He's kind of warming you up to the new album, the sound of the new album. He's playing off the fact that he is Cole. He doesn't have to come out there with something that's going to be big. He doesn't have to really make like big noise. If he's somebody else that doesn't really have the same amount of clout now, say like a Wale drops those same songs, not going to make as much noise. Sure. And I can't say these songs really made a lot of noise, but Cole has a hive. He has a fan base that are like so far with Cole that it's just like, I'm going to resonate to anything he drops unless it's straight shit. Like, I feel like to a degree, if it was really off, they would be like, but it was cool. It wasn't nothing that was great.
It did shut down Spotify.
Yeah, and that's his fan base. It wasn't terrible. So I'm gonna be like, there's certain songs that come out with known rappers and people that have like a name, and it's kind of like, oh, this is terrible. It wasn't nowhere close to that. It just wasn't special to me.
Rex, any thoughts on the songs that came out?
I haven't heard them yet, man. I was asking about one of them that I thought I may heard, but I can't even remember the name of the J. Cole song that I heard. But it wasn't that good, the one that I heard. Sure. To me, I don't know. J. Cole just always kind of lived in Drake's shadow. And then Drake just always hop on whoever got the wave right now and just kind of like jack they shit. and you've been doing that probably like the last 8 or 9 years. So
Trey, do you feel the same?
I'm kind of used to it by now. Like you say Drake stole somebody's flow or Drake stole somebody's song, like yeah, it's just like, okay. I mean, that's kind of what he does. So I mean, I can't even be mad at him at this point. I mean, he's just I mean, that's one of the things about being industry though. You kind of just gotta go with who got the wave or like who's the popular artist right now. So I don't know. I mean, I'll listen to the songs though, probably like later. I just didn't know about them like that, and I'm not like really seeking out Drake and J. Cole songs like that. Like when I hear them, I'll be like, "Oh, that's a good song." But I don't know. I'm not really checking for them like that.
That's an interesting point that you're not even checking for Drake and J. Cole. Interesting. Trey, how you feel? Same way about Drake, J. Cole singles?
Yeah, I haven't heard the song. I mean, I don't really check for rap too heavy as much as I used to. Like I think I knew about the DJ Khaled songs coming out, but I wasn't like curious enough to check. I didn't know anything about the J. Cole thing. I thought he was tired. But yeah, I haven't heard any of it. I mean, I don't know what to expect if it's going to sound like anything new. I mean, rap has pretty much hit its plateau at this point, so I'm not expecting anything to be, mind blowing or anything that's like. Cause it feels like everything is a hit nowadays. So
rap has plateaued.
For the most part, for the sound,
everything is a hit.
Like it sounds like it because then if somebody plays me something and I hear it, I'm like, nah, this song is good, and then like it's number one in the country. I'm like, but then the next song they play, this song is like it's not even on the charts, but it sounds like this song is not. So why is this song number one? This song is not even on the charts, but they have similar beats, or they got the same producer, or the same cadences, same flows, all that. I'm like, well, what makes this better than that one? So rappers kind of hit a plateau as far as like what you can do creatively, and that's not really. I mean, it's not a bad thing if it sounds good, but I mean, I'm not checking for anything to be like, oh, this is going to be the new thing. I'm like, I mean, maybe something after the pandemic will be a new thing in hip hop or a new genre. I don't know, because I mean, I feel like most black genres tend to come out of like the worst thing imaginable. I mean, hip hop came out the crack.
That's true. That's true.
So after this, we might get something really good. I don't know.
I feel you on that.
I agree with you on the creativity level, though. There are some people that are different, but as far as like hip hop is running the charts. In essence, if you look at the charts prior to the past year or so, I think really since the Migos really cracked the charts, it's been hip hop really running the charts. It's not even like hip hop's the number one song. Hip hop is literally out of the top 10, might have 8 spots in the top 10. Out of the top 10, might be 1 spot in the top 10 where it's not a black artist right now. And it's been
See, that's why I disagree with what y'all are saying.
But nah, there's like one thing I want to say. What does that chart say? Those charts are really pop charts. In essence, hip hop has become pop. It's become the pop music. In essence, it used to be R&B was more of a pop band.
Is that bad? It
used to be rock and roll was more of a pop.
Is that bad?
It's not that it's bad, but the creativity kind of stems because pop has a formula.
Oh, no, I disagree.
Pop is definitely a formula-based thing. Where certain
I think the song,
I
think Rockstar, the song Rockstar, is more creative than a lot of hip hop songs that you could say. What is not creative about the song Rockstar that is the number one song in hip hop right now?
I'll be like this. I haven't heard Rockstar in a while, but what I'll tell you is formulaic about the rap right now. A lot of songs have a guitar in it. It was like there was a flute wave. Now it's a guitar wave where you have to have a guitar. And I heard a lot of Gunna on that joint, but Gunna's been on that for a little while now. So I'm not going to put that on Gunna for like he's following a wave, but like a lot of songs have some type of guitar sound on there. And they go on the guitar sound.
That happens, man. Like when
I will give the baby, he does have originality with his flow. As far as like it's different than other people's flows per se. People complain about the baby has the same sound of his flow. He came out with a whole tape where he did not.
What about Lil Baby? What about Lil Baby? I think his flow is way more unique than a lot of hip hop rappers that's ever rapped on the mic ever. Period. You can't tell me another person who flows like Lil Baby, who rides.
I mean, is that a good thing? I mean,
have you what? Lil Baby can rap circles around a lot of people right now. Like I
yeah, right now.
I think hip hop, to me, I don't think hip hop has lost creativity at all. I think it has evolved the same way hip hop has always evolved. And it is now at a certain point where people have to rap a certain way and use different skills. You cannot tell me that it doesn't take skill to ride the beat the way Lil Baby does and weave the multi-syllabic rhymes that he's doing with the metaphors and punchlines and make a hit song that gets on the charts. You telling me that's not creative? You telling me the Whoa joint that he made wasn't creative? Like, it takes creativity to get people to do a dance to a random song. It takes creativity to have a flow on that joint that's hard enough that some random hood niggas gonna still bump that joint. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes creativity to make Fight Night the song. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes creativity to have them niggas harmonizing, having the ad-libs hit at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, hip-hop is way more creative than it's ever been. Niggas never even had to use melody ever in life. Like, what? Like, niggas get like...
I feel a little different. I feel a little different on that, though. I'm gonna be real with you. The difference is nobody's really writing, which is like a plus and a minus. So you don't have a certain level of deepness. You don't have like double entendres or triple entendres in a lot of songs. People are really like in a zone. That's why you get the melodies. I'm in a zone. Like, I'm not, being essence, I'm not sober. I'm listening to this right now. I'm in a zone. I'm vibing on this. I'm giving you what I feel at the moment. When I'm speaking from the heart, certain rappers really lived a certain life, and they're just speaking from the heart. So in essence, they can go a little bit further. They don't have to sit there and think about what I'm gonna say next. So that's why I get people like Lil Baby that's just really just saying stuff. And when he's saying stuff, he's saying something that's really from the heart. People are like, yo, that's real. He said da, da, da. And that sounds real, like he's really living a certain life where you're hearing that life he's living, where you can kind of like get that from him. Not everybody's gonna have that same feelings or same like authenticity coming from them. So they have a sound, they have a flow, but it's not as much that they're saying with it. So you have like a plus and a minus with it, but you don't have as much of the diversity in it, I want to say. Or the diversity is not on the top charts. It's not on the charts aren't showing the diversity. What you're going to see is the same vibe. It's kind of on the charts, really.
Okay, so if we're talking strictly charts and the vibes on the charts, I can see that, but that's always been the case just in general. Pop music dominates the charts, like you said, and pop music is always going to have a similar sound, mostly because it's popular. Whatever is popular is going to be on the pop charts, of course. And if there's a sound that's popular, all of those songs are going to sound the same because they're going for the popular sound, of course. Outside of that, though, the diversity in rap right now, to have a Kendrick Lamar, to have a Lil Baby, to have a Valet, I don't even know who Valet is, to have a Valet, to have a...
I thought you pronounced Wale.
To have Benny the Butcher, you know, to have Jay-Z still rapping, and to have the old heads still rapping. To me, this is the most diverse rap has ever been, ever in history, period. And it's most creative because even the old heads have to find ways to be creative and still stay relevant. And they like, Fat Joe dropped a hit. Rap Joe dropped all the way up. Like, he's not supposed to be dropping a hit last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga came out when he was doing Deep Cover with Big Pun back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, to me, that takes a creativity to get on a beat like that, still present yourself as Fat Joe, and make that connect to an audience in a way that it becomes like the #1 song in the world. Even French may not be the greatest rapper technically in the world, but for him to come on and body every single hook like that, that is a skill. To get people hooked onto words and repeat them enough that it becomes popular, that's a skill. A lot of rappers never had that skill. You can't tell me. Rappers didn't even used to do their own hooks back in the day. Half of them didn't even have hooks. It was just rapping. To me, it's more creativity.
That shit was dope, though.
It was dope. Don't get me wrong. It was dope. 1,000% dope. But does it take more creativity to make a song? Or does it make more creativity to just straight rap? Now, it could be the same equal level of creativity in both of those. But I wouldn't say that today's creativity dropped, though. You know what I'm saying? I just think it's like hip-hop evolved into what it is. Like, it just goes through different cycles, you know what I'm saying? And this is just the current cycle that we in as far as young niggas. Because young niggas dictate it. This is how young niggas think. This is the thoughts that they have. So that's what's coming out in the music, just as always hip-hop has always been, you know?
The creativity may not have dropped But I feel like the intelligence definitely dropped. Like rap used to be like at like a 90 IQ. Now that shit is at like 70. Like you gotta be like half retarded to understand what niggas is saying, bruh. Like niggas be on the track, you don't know what the hell this nigga saying, bruh. Like literally, bruh, I'll be listening to the song on the video game, bruh, and I'll be like, yo, what the fuck is this nigga saying, bruh? Like he not saying nothing. Like these are not real words that is coming out of this man's mouth, bruh. Like the beat is cool and the flow is cool, but what is he actually saying? You don't know. Nobody knows.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Like,
I'll give you that.
It's at this point where like the music is cool to like drive around to or party to, but it's not something I would sit around in my house and have that playing in the back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like, or say if I'm trying to like do some work in the house, like I don't mean like cleaning up around the house. Like say I got a paper to write or I'm working on a project and I got this nigga babbling on like Forrest Gump behind me, like loud as shit. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like,
I mean, granted, I probably wouldn't play.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like nobody's going to study Lil Baby in a Harvard classroom 10 years from now.
I don't know.
Like
did y'all hear his most recent single? Y'all heard his most recent single?
Right. You can talk about all that stuff you want, but nobody's going to break down. They have full classes dedicated to your number one enemy, Nas. They got full classes dedicated to this man.
For no reason, because he only has one album to study. We'll get to that later.
Even somebody like Kendrick, they got courses dedicated to the stuff he puts in his rap. I'm not using him as an example because he's more like current, or he's more like, you know. But what I'm saying is, but nobody's gonna go back and listen to. I don't know who else is like popular right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Forgive me of that. But I'm just saying, a lot of those rappers, nobody's gonna go back and say he deserves a Pulitzer Prize for everything that he's written, or he deserves a Mark Twain Award. He deserves a Mark Twain Award for those 8 bars he struggled to clock in the studio for 9 hours.
Now, some of these rappers, yes, I'll agree. We're not gonna study them in Harvard. Lil Baby is fairly new, so I don't know how his career is gonna progress. We may get a second album from him.
I thought. Wait, he only got one album? How long is he out?
He just dropped his first album.
He's been out for like a long time, so I was like, he only got one.
I mean, he's been out like as an artist. He hasn't dropped an official like debut album though. Like, you know,
does that even matter anymore?
Not as much as it used to.
That doesn't even matter anymore. Like,
it matters as far as like attention from the public, but as far as like listeners and audience, like we recognize like their early works and their projects now. It's like their debuts and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
I didn't even realize rappers still make albums, bro.
No one's gonna tell me that Rolling Papers is like Wiz Khalifa's first album.
I didn't realize they still made like real albums because it's kind of like nobody from like anybody growing up now don't even have the attention span to sit and listen to 10 tracks all the way through.
Well, I mean, that's definitely something that's changed about hip hop. There's not going to be,
and they don't have the same. I don't know how to explain it. Like the same feeling we got getting a CD growing up, or even like buying vinyl. Like even though they're trying to bring that back, but the young kids growing up don't really care about having a physical copy of somebody's music. They still
CD cover. They fold over the CD cover and shit.
I feel a little bit different about the album though. I'm be real with you. Like I understand about like having trouble listening to a whole album, but that only affects you when they're like 4-minute, 5-minute, 6-minute songs. Like I tried to play somebody's like album one time. My cousin hit me to it, and they kind of have like an older style, like an underground style, and it's cool. But like by the 5th song, I'm like, yo, this is a lot. But if I play somebody that's younger, kind of like a more hip kind of sound to them songs is like 2 minutes something max, where it's like I can like not even pay attention. Oh, I'm on track 8. Like that joint just kept going through. Like you don't even notice it the same. Like you don't feel it as crazy because it keeps changing. It kind of helps you with your ADD or your ability to have to like look at something new. It keeps changing.
But you know what it is? I think I'm just getting older. I also think that's contributing to it because I think it might be just too simple, and I don't relate to a lot of things that the rappers talk about anymore, as far as like, you know, like everything is kind of like formulaic, or it's like, well, you never experienced that. I'm like, I did at 22, but now I got real problems. I got debt and bills.
But see, that's why I feel like hip hop is the most diverse right now, because the young niggas still have the stuff that they relate to and go through, which the music is really generated for. But we still have literally people our age rapping right now, like Cole, Kendrick, Drake, all are people from.
But I'm not gonna lie to you. But you know what
rapping right now?
I just want them to combine it to where it's still fun to listen to, and they not boring me with their lifelong story. Like,
but how are they gonna do that if they're gonna relate to you? Because our shit is boring now. Like, we adults, like we.
That's what I'm saying. And I think that's probably what it is. I'm probably just like, it's a mixture of it hitting a plateau, but it's also a mixture of me probably just getting bored with the genre at this point. Because I think we were talking about it like a while back, where like Lil Brother came out with a new album, and all the old heads who still rocking Lot 29 and Black Air Force Ones were like, this is the album for grown men. And when
Which was hard though, I can't lie.
This dude is talking about to lose a foot to diabetes in a rap song. I don't want to hear that.
Yo.
I can't lie. They was rapping about some real old nigga shit on there. Like,
they were rapping about
like children graduations and shit. Like, they was rapping about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to go that far left. Like, you can still rap about some conscious stuff without it being I'm putting my kids on the bus now. I'm making little sandwiches.
But to me, an example of that, and the best example of that, is Drake. Drake is 30-something rapping about stuff that me at my age, I can still relate to stuff. Everything that Drake says, I've never not related to anything that Drake says. I think Drake is going to be relatable forever. Not only that, Drake is the best right now, and he's probably top 10 all time.
You relate to the simping?
You know what it is with Drake? I think because Drake is like, I don't know how to explain, because I can't call him like bad, because I don't really listen to Drake's music that heavy, but it's kind of like his image and his music is relatable to like the everyday dude with like, you know, some stuff like, oh, I got relationship problems, oh, I'm trying to get this money. It's very like, this is what you care about, right? This is what if you did a survey at PG Plaza and like ask everybody what they really care about in their lives right now, getting some money, doing drugs and partying, like, and they like, we got an artist that can say all those things for you. His name is Aubrey Graham, but he's going by his middle name because that sounds cooler than Aubrey Graham. Yeah. So, and then that's what it is. That's why I don't really like hate on Drake. Even when he starts simping in his music, it's kind of like, well, I know dudes that like regular dudes who do the same thing he does. They just not rappers. But I've had friends who come up to me and be like, "Oh man, this girl broke up with me, or she not told me I'm about to go to her house." I'm like, like calm down with this shit, man. Like, you a grown ass man. Don't come to me with that. Like, but I feel like his music is relatable on them terms. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like with Drake, I feel like Drake is a bad rap, man. Like, I feel like people, like, because he came in at a weird time in hip hop, and like, you know, people wasn't really on that wave. But to be honest, Drake is responsible for hip hop even being like still around and something that people listen to, like on the regular. Like for real, man. I feel like people gonna have to start giving Drake his flowers, man. Like, Drake is top 10 all time. I'm gonna stick by that. But that's cool. That was an interesting conversation on the state of hip hop today. But let's take it a little away from music. Let's take it into a conversation that we had a little while back. Episode 1, matter of fact, we were discussing the imminent name change for the now Washington football team. Officially, we were joking like, yo, the Washington football team is going to play the Raiders. And we was joking like that's going to be their name. That's literally their name now. They are the Washington football team, y'all. Like, they're going to be like actually going by that. They're just the football team now. Like, how do y'all feel about that?
I'll be real with you. It's so odd. It's so different that everybody's rejecting it. Everybody's like, no. They're like, no. I'm not a Redskins fan. I'm not a Washington fan, but no. I don't want to hear the Washington football team. The weird part about it, a little part of me is like the fact that it's so off and so different. There's a slight side where I feel like, what if this is the future of certain sports teams where they kind of take away the name or the team mascot type of aspect. Because there are a lot of teams that have a weird aspect to their mascot. There are a lot of names they want to kind of change because this is racist or this is kind of playing off of these people. This isn't right or blah, blah, blah. There's some issues to a lot of things. The Redskins was the wildest name out of like just about every sports team name. Like there's certain imagery that's wilder, but as far as a name, the Redskins was like the wildest name. And I'll just be straight as a Redskins fan, I'll be straight up, it was the wildest name. And I'm like, all right, I understand. I'm okay to take that L. Like, if it's going to be an L, we got to take that L. One thing I will say I heard from my uncle, nobody has taken the L or nobody has beaten really the Washington football team. So all y'all that's trying to talk shit, all y'all Cowboys fans, all y'all other fans, y'all ain't never beat the Washington football team. After this season, there are definitely going to be some teams that have not beat the Washington football team.
These niggas
gotta
better
recognize
swing
that.
it,
Like,
man.
y'all have not beat the Washington football team. We're not going to be undefeated, but there are definitely going to be some teams that we play that are basically going to have to go in the next season like we still have not beat the Washington football team.
And you know what's funny?
Y'all got to put some respect on that. Like,
It's just so vague. It just seems so vague and nefarious or something like, yeah, we still got to face the Washington football team. Like, who is that exactly? That could be anybody. The Washington football
And to
team.
be real, if they change the name a year after this, if it's only for one season where we're the Washington football team, that means you never beat the Washington football team ever. Like, that's just going down the history. Y'all never beat this team. Like, there's going to be a run where certain teams have never beat the Washington football team. Y'all got to deal with that. Y'all took them laughing now. Laugh now. You're going to cry later. Think about that.
Oh my goodness. What do y'all feel, Rex and Jay? How y'all feel about this thing, Jay?
Man, I don't know. The name is it's just lazy, man. And it doesn't sound legal. It doesn't sound like they went through the proper channels to do it. Like, I can't imagine playing Madden and then they like Washington football team on the first and 10. Washington football, like. That sounds like some like Tecmo Bowl stuff.
Well, they already said Madden took out like the images of their uniforms. They took out the logos, uniforms, all that. Then the references to their name, all that's already out the game before they even made the name change. So
right, but it's just a weird thing. It's gonna be weird to like look at and they're like, and Washington football team scores. Like it sounds.
I mean, they're gonna say Washington.
But
you know they're gonna say football team, son. You know they're gonna.
They have to. Somebody's gonna say it at some point. Just to troll or something. Like you gotta say it.
They are.
It's crazy though because it's like the football team.
Football team, like everybody's a football team. Like y'all really with that sugar that guy who got all them those trademarks? They gonna pay him.
But that's what I'm saying. It's his fault for allowing the dude with the trademarks to be like, hey, I got all your names now.
The thing is, though, the trademark dude supposedly don't even want money for it. But I don't think they're rocking with those names.
What does he want for it?
At one point, he was saying, I'll just give it to you guys. Another point, he's like, yo, if y'all make a donation, and that's good. Like, y'all just make a donation to whatever organization.
And Dan Snyder said, nah.
I don't know if they're rocking with those names, to be real with you. Like, everybody's saying Red Wolves, everybody's saying certain names.
You might as well go Red Wolves.
The thing is, I don't think the new name's going to have any ties to Native Americans because Dan Snyder's like, F y'all. He really did not care about Native Americans from jump, and he don't care about y'all now. So he's not going to change the name to kind of like, oh, it's a better name to kind of still hear it. He don't, fuck that. He don't care.
That's fucked up.
And the thing is, they're getting rid of that song. They're getting rid of all of it. If you say, you can't say hell to the Washington football team.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be a wild rendition. They're not going to be able to flip that to the hell. To the Red Wolves, you can kind of throw into that joint. There's a whole bunch of names you can throw into there. You cannot throw in the Washington football team to that joint. Like, they might really be cleaning this whole joint
Hell
up.
to the team. You just got to call it hell to
hell to y'all.
TT. HTTT.
Shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yo, Dan Snyder really dropped the ball on this one, man. It's his fault that y'all are now named the Washington football team. It's his negligence. He could have done this years ago. He didn't have to have his feet held to the fire. None of this had to happen. He could have got all kinds of great PR behind it and had a great brand name that would have been well established right now. Instead, he chose to fight tooth and nail for a racist-ass name that was bound to fall eventually.
But I mean, who was to predict how soon it was going to be and what year and everything that happened this year? He didn't. And he couldn't foresee this. Nobody did. Like
he couldn't have foreseen this, but he could have.
no, like, but the way it
happened.
People have been protesting the name forever,
Like
and he's like, "Man, what you gonna do?" Like, I got money.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
When everything happens, and he's like, "Well, you know what? Black Lives Matter. We're taking all our money out of this and taking all the sponsors." He's like, "Okay, wait." He's like, "Wait." And it happened so suddenly, so he had no choice. But you can't talk to a billionaire like Dan Stein and like, "Your team is racist." He's like, "So I got $20 billion, man." And he's like, "What are you gonna do about it?" And he was like, "We're gonna pull money." He's like, "I still got billions." But now it's like when everything is affecting your bottom line and the fact that there potentially wasn't going to be any football and probably still might not be a complete season this year, that was going to affect his bottom line truly. So he had no choice. He was on a
That's
corner.
true. That's true. Rex, you got any thoughts on the Washington football team?
Honestly, I like the name. I just feel like it's too many syllables. Like you can't really use it in a song. And it does sound weird when the announcers say Washington football team. Like, I do think they need to like shorten it somehow. I don't know how they do it. But I feel like the Washington football team is like a hard name. It's just like, you gotta be a good team though. Like, you gotta actually be a good football team to be the Washington football team. So otherwise,
because it's like you sound like you're the official team for like like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're the football team, nigga. Like, we got a bunch of football teams in this. You're the team, nigga. Like, you gotta represent when you're the Washington football team.
Like I feel like
it look cool. You know? The big W, the big, gold W in the burgundy background, they're kind of cool.
They could have just been called the Washington Dubs or some shit. I don't know. Like they could have did anything. But like, this is pretty ridiculous. Like, this is the dumbest shit I ever heard. Probably. Like, the Cowboys don't have this problem. No fucking other franchise has this problem, young. We're literally the only franchise with this problem. And we're the only franchise next to the Cowboys that spends as much money as we do and don't get shit out of it. Like, we haven't done shit since like the early 90s, bro. Like, come on, bro. Y'all might as well change the team name a long time ago, bro. Like, literally.
Who's to say that animals aren't next? Like, all the teams named after like some kind of endangered animal, or like, who's to say Peter's not going to get involved next? But like, oh no, like, you can't name your team after a bear or eagle.
Never know.
Because like, it's coming because like, you do one right thing, it's gonna be a bunch of people who's like, well, my cause is just as important as that cause. Like, you can't do a team called Jaguars. The Jaguars are being hunted. Like,
maybe it's like what Scension said. Maybe everybody's gonna move to that. Everybody's
gonna be a football team. It's gonna be a football team.
Or a basketball team, the baseball team. Everybody's just gonna do that for sports. Maybe that's the wave next. Who knows? Like, that could be. I mean,
you gotta look at baseball, especially like you got the Cleveland Indians. They have their mascot that looks really wild. I think they changed that a little bit.
They did change it.
But
they
still,
changed it
they
to
can
like
put in.
They're
gonna look at that name as the Indians. Like, Native Americans don't call themselves Indians,
right?
And that might go. I heard somebody talking about the Texas Rangers, where they're like, the Texas Rangers as an actual group, like the Rangers in Texas, are mad racist supposedly, or historically racist. Maybe we don't want to have that as a team name. There's a whole lot of things that could actually turn around where, like, it's what do you name your team after?
I mean, who's to say that the Boston Celtics isn't racist towards Irish people?
Yo, that's interesting though, because like my uncle was telling me like about Notre Dame, where somebody was complaining about them being the fighting Irish. He's like, they're basically they were started by Irish Catholics. They chose the name the Fighting Irish. You cannot call that like racist. They basically chose. It's not like play on them being drunk and fighting. It's like,
but that's what I'm saying. When you see it, it's synonymous with like drunk Irish people. like when you see it, the logo, it's just like they ready to go. Like I'm drunk. I just had 5 beers and we had a football game. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to knock somebody out. Like that one is probably worse than the Boston Celtics. I didn't even think about the fight.
I never thought about that either, but that's some real shit.
But it was chosen by that group. It's almost like if a Native American group owned the Redskins and they chose to name the Redskins, they rocking with that.
Right.
You got to let that slide because that is that group. It wasn't that some random group came together and we're like, all right, it wasn't a bunch of black people that said we want to make the fight in Irish. It wasn't a bunch of, you know what I'm saying? Like it was specifically Irish people that chose we're gonna make this a fight in Irish, and that's what they want to rock with. You can't knock that.
And isn't their logo like a drunk fighting leoprecon too? Like,
it is.
I don't know if he's drunk, but he's definitely a leprechaun.
I mean, he looked
Put up your dukes.
That's lit.
Too. He ready to go.
If you really think about it, if they wanted to ride on that joint, they could. They could ride.
They be like, what you think all Irish are ready to fight? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that is a little.
Conor McGregor is ready to fight.
Because I mean, if you think about it, it's like a caricature.
But Conor McGregor is low key a stereotype. Like, he's like the worst part of being Irish. Like, other than him being an MMA fighter, he's like every stereotype of being Irish. Because he likes to drink and he likes to fight and he likes to talk shit. Like he's what people thought. Like he's never going to amount to anything. He's going to be in whatever prison looks like in Ireland. They said he was going to be there first, and then he lucked out by being like a top fighter.
A great fighter,
the best at his craft to not get locked up in Ireland. That's just like what they say about Tyson over here. They're like, Tyson is going to end up in prison, but then he ends up being the best at what he does and dodges a jail cell.
Which ironically, if he was that great at it and didn't have an outlet like boxing or MMA, they would both end up in prison.
They would have killed
for that
somebody.
exact reason.
Tyson was in jail for a period of time, though.
That's true.
What?
Tyson was in jail for a period of time.
Wasn't Conor McGregor too, or he was close? He was close.
Yeah, you're right. Tyson was in jail.
Conor McGregor threw that chair at somebody, or whatever.
What people thought he was going to go to jail for, which was murder.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
Same thing with Conor McGregor. I mean, I think Conor McGregor probably would have gone to jail for like something like sexual assault or something. I feel like he fits that.
That profile.
He seems like the type.
As a random aside, though, do y'all feel like the Dan Snyder thing with the Washington Post and all that kind of blew over kind of quickly? Do you still feel like?
Yeah, I think so because it was something that was slightly reported a few years ago. So when it came out again, they were kind of like, oh, y'all already talked about this. Like, and he didn't go to jail for it. They'll have to do it again in like another 5 years for him to actually go to trial for something like that. Like, that's how they did Bill Cosby because Bill Cosby's been called a rapist since like the 80s. And it took them 30 years to lock him up.
Yeah, that's true. So does this nix the whole Bezos like moving in on the skins thing or not?
No, because Jeff Bezos runs the world. So like he can get Dan Snyder knocked off if he wanted to.
He'll take that extra $10 billion he just made and give it to the skins.
He's going to pay whoever the top assassin is. He's like, yo, I got
Yo, I'm still tripping off that. That nigga got an extra 10 billion, like, bruh, an extra 10 billion. Like,
when you have extra billions.
Oh my gosh, that's stupid, dog. Like, that's just so incomprehensible, bro. Like, how do you even feel after that? Do you feel, doesn't even matter that you got an extra couple billions? Like, you're not even gonna run through the first billion. You're not even done your first billion, nigga. You worth like 100 of those billions, nigga. Like, it's crazy.
People a valuable lesson to invest in yourself early, even when you fail. Because Amazon stock was worth like $2 in like the late 90s, and now it's worth like at least like $2,000 a share, something like that. Wow. Like, and selling books out the garage. And they probably thought it was the stupidest idea ever. They're like, you're selling books out your parents' garage. Nobody reads it. They probably told this man, nobody even reads books. We got cable. Like, and then he's like, I'll show you. I'll show all of you.
Yo, one thing they don't talk about, like, Amazon kind of failed initially, and his parents supposedly helped him with some money. Like, they gave him like $200,000 to bounce back. It's worth way more than $200,000. So he still took that bag and kind of ran with it. So he didn't fumble that. You got to give him that for his hustle. One thing I really wonder, if you get that rich, you're worth that much money. What's your motivation at that point? Because it can't be to get another dollar. How much money is enough money? It's like, when do you actually shoot? You already got a family.
I feel like I guess it depends on the person, because if you got a certain amount of greed and evil in your heart, like that 50 billion ain't nothing compared to 100 billion, and 100 billion ain't nothing compared to a trillion. Like, I'm telling you.
At what point do you stop though? Like, what is your? Do you ever stop?
I'm good at 500 mil for real. Like, I'm chilling. I'm chilling at 500 mil.
I mean, if it was me, I feel like, man, if I had $10 million, I'd be good. Like, y'all wouldn't see me no more. Like, if I had $10 million, I'd be gone. But like,
nah, I'm serious. Like, for real though. Like, I'm
like $1 billion.
Like,
$1 billion just seems like and I feel like that's why we never hear about Jay-Z retiring or Kanye retiring, because they are good. They don't have to do anything ever again. But it's that chase and that level of money will keep you going forever. And they always say, I'm doing it for my kids. I'm like, your kids are going to be good, and your grandkids
kids going to be good, bro.
You have generations that are going to be good off of that money. Like, you doing it because you just want money. Like, period. You just like the thrill of another $1 million.
And that's the weird thing to me, because it's like, I don't even, like y'all were saying, like, what can be the motivation after, like, really, like, even if you do push past like a certain point and you get to like $1 billion somehow off of whatever motivation, after you reach 1 billion, what is really your driving factor to get out of bed every day and do something toward making another amount of that? You know what I mean? Like another $1 billion, because it takes another climb to get to another 1 billion, and then keep stacking from there. To me, that's just exhausting. I'm like, once I get $1 billion, what the fuck do I want to do after? I don't need to do shit after that. Like, I don't want to do anything else. I made $1 billion. I'm Gucci. I don't need 800 million billion. What the fuck am I going to do with that? I'm never going to spend it. Never, ever in life. Like, what am I going to do with that?
It may not be about the money. Maybe about power. I mean, Trump had billions of dollars, and he still ran to be president off a fluke. He didn't even think he was going to win. And then people still voted for him. He's like, I'm president. Now he doesn't even want to leave being the president when he didn't want to be president in the first place. And he's like, well, you have to do what I say. They have to listen to me. Like, you know, I can write stuff. I can make up fake laws that won't get passed. Like, like I'm saying, it's power. The same thing with like Jeff Bezos. You know, it's kind of like when people get rich and they didn't get women when they were like broke, but then when they got rich, all of a sudden now they're involved in a sex scandal. So I'm like, where was your sex scandals when you were only worth $20? You know what I'm saying? Like, where was the bait when you were only worth like 40 grand a year? But now that you got $1 billion, all of a sudden you attractive to everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's just about what you can get with the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't like, I had like, it's like somebody said I had $1 million, but she still wouldn't look at me. But I got $1 billion now. Now I got the whole team looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? And Jeff Bezos divorced his wife, gave her half of his fortune, and he still hasn't.
She divorced him, bro. Whoa. Yeah. She straight up divorced him, bro.
But to him,
he did.
But I'm saying though, like, even that divorce proceeding didn't even last long, because he's like, well, what do you want? I want half of your stuff. He said, that's cool. I still own Amazon, and people still gonna order stuff off Amazon.
But you know what's crazy? Half of his wealth made her one of the richest people in the world, and he is now, again, still the richest man in the world.
And look, and
she did nothing, though. She ain't do shit. What did she do?
He donated some of that, though.
On her part, I think that's dope. Because look, like, how...
I'm saying, what did she do to get the money?
But I think, you know what's funny?
She did some things, man. She did some things.
Boy, come into a situation.
I ain't gonna do that for the money.
That's once in a lifetime.
The amount of money she got,
to marry a billionaire.
Nah, I ain't doing
all
that.
You know what?
If I was a female, I would.
I ain't a female.
That is crazy, right? That's crazy.
She is.
Because she could do that. She was like, he got billions of dollars. What's me divorcing? He's not going to miss that. And all he's going to do is replace me with a new wife. Like, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? That's a once-in-a-lifetime situation. Like, I could stay with him and be miserable and have to depend on his money, or I could divorce him, take half his money, and they ain't got to worry about it no more.
That's a highway robbery, bro. That is
it
called
is robbery.
getting
I'm not
jacked.
gonna lie, but that's a plan.
That nigga got jacked.
That's a plan that you come up with when your parents tell their daughter, marry a rich man because that's better than being married to a broke man.
I can't do that. I can't do that to the women out there. I have to defend the women out there because we don't have women on our platform. I do have to.
I'm not saying every woman is like that. Don't get me
wrong. Not every woman is like that. But what I'm saying, as far as like the principle, I mean, well, at least for her in her case, I don't know if she set out with the intention necessarily to be like, yo, I'm about to take Bezos. I'm about to take half from this nigga. I think she was really riding with this nigga. And you gotta remember, like, niggas like Bezos, when they on their way up, they go through a lot of fuck shit. They do a lot of fuck shit. They treat people in a lot of fuck type of ways, especially people like their women and the people they love and stuff around them. You probably pull up with a lot of fuck shit on that climb to get to $1 billion and $1 billion plus. You know what I'm saying? You probably looked the other way on a lot of discretions and shit on his part too. You know, on the way up to $1 billion. So when she,
nigga, I would look the other way on everything if I get $1 billion, nigga.
But if she finally gets fed up with all of that shit, you know what I'm saying? After all of those years, and I'm just finally done, I want to live my life and be happy for myself. And she decides to leave, and you didn't have it in your prenup to guard your cash, and because of divorce, I take advantage of whatever that thing is, that loophole, and I get half. What happened? You know what I'm saying? But I also, even though I didn't put foot to ground, in building Amazon necessarily, there probably wouldn't be no Amazon if it wasn't for her, technically. You know what I'm saying? Like,
boy, stop.
I'm gonna be real.
You are reaching.
Look. They said Kobe, they tried to hit him with that she wasn't with you shooting in the gym thing. I'm gonna be honest. If Kobe didn't have Vanessa Bryant, he don't got 5 rings. He's not even the Kobe Bryant we love and know as a person, like as a human being, as a man. Behind every great man is a great woman. Barack Obama, like,
I agree with you on that.
Man. You gotta think about it. Bezos is not Bezos without the woman holding him down. I'm telling you.
But isn't Kanye a billionaire and his wife is like porno star who stays?
Regardless of what we say about Kim, she held this man down a little bit. She just held him down.
She did.
At least.
You gotta think, you're seeing moments of Kanye kind of losing it, and then like people are saying that's kind of normal for Kanye. Like he often has these moments. You just don't hear about it. Why? Keep it in tuck. So in essence, he's been like this around her. Right. They kept it in tuck. Like supposedly the whole divorce thing, you hear him saying it publicly first. I don't know who pushed it first per se, but like it's been in tuck. So you gotta be like, she played a role. She had his back to a degree. Like you gotta be real about it. There's a lot of people that really make it. A lot of times they say, especially in business, they want to see somebody with a family that has a wife or has kids, so they have stability. Right. It's like an extra level when you have somebody that's kind of holding you down with that. So, like, I agree with my man saying, like, a lot of people don't make it big until they have a strong woman beside them.
Speaking of billionaires doing anything for the money, the NBA is back. The bubble is here. We have gotten a peek inside at the bubble. We have seen some scrimmages. My Lakers played the other night against Tre's Mavericks. We did take the L, but in my book, we won because we looked better, in my opinion. And somehow Seth Curry's...
You took the L, but you won.
Seth Curry's never going 8 for 8 again in his life. So I'll take that as a W.
He was cooking, bro.
He was cooking. But have y'all seen, the NBA back and all these other sports that are starting back? What are y'all thoughts about all of this going on right now?
Yo, I saw the basketball game with the Wizards basically playing the Bucks. Not the Bucks, excuse me. It was the Wizards
Nuggets.
versus the Nuggets.
That was ugly.
It was, you could say it was ugly. It wasn't that ugly. I'm gonna be real with you. You might have seen highlights. If you watched the whole game, the game was close. There were moments where they were down. You gotta look at it like, who did the Wizards really have? They had certain parts of their team. If they had like most of their team there, even taking out John Wall, it would have been a different game. The Nuggets also only had 8 players to play, but the 8 players they had to play were better players to a degree, caliber-wise. They're more of a starting 5. You could throw in Bol as kind of that curveball that really didn't play, but Bol as a player is not terrible. So you got to look at, like, Bol was out there. They let him get away with quite a few goaltends if you look at it. If you look at the replays and stuff like that, and the balls was coming down, they just like seeing Bol get up that high, like his arm. I'm a fan of it. Like I've been rocking with Bol. I wanted to see him play like Manute Bol's son. I'm not even mad at it. I like seeing him play, like seeing his outside shot, like seeing him dunk. I don't know how big it's going to be if he goes against somebody with size. Like, he's not going to be able to like hold it down with somebody with size. Him against somebody like KD might be interesting because of height wise, where like he might be able to block KD might block him, vice versa. Like, they're kind of smaller but limpier or linky per se. Like, they have a weird like build. KD's a better player. I'm good at hands down, but like Bo's gonna be interesting to watch per se. As far as it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like some of what the NBA is doing for the games are kind of the safety precautions where everybody has to sit with spaces and they're all wearing masks and stuff like that in between.
Yeah.
It's a slight overkill, I want to say, but I understand why they're doing it. It's an overkill, I feel, because everybody's been tested. Everybody has to test negative. If nobody's going outside the bubble, although I don't know everything about this virus, I don't know how it's moving. If they're all staying within the bubble, nobody's going outside the bubble, and everybody tested negative, they all should be good to a degree. But everybody's wearing their mask, so it's kind of like they want to show them wearing the mask because people outside need to be wearing a mask. Because everybody outside is not in a bubble. When you go to the grocery store, that's not a bubble. Nobody got tested to come into that grocery store. You basically out there almost like you fucking raw. And it's kind of like, you don't know. You might be good. You might not be good. You could slip up. Like, you might have a baby. You might catch a virus. Like, you don't know what could happen to this thing. You're not in that bubble. So you kind of got to protect yourself. So kind of giving the imagery, like making sure I'm protecting myself. You should do this also. I respect that. Them sitting with the space is kind of another level where you got to social distance. If they're all good, they're on that court playing against each other, they're defending each other, there's really no point in them really sitting with that much space between them if everybody's in that bubble. But it's kind of the imagery, so I rock with the imagery in that. Outside of that, I did watch a baseball game also. What's interesting about the baseball game, this might be the first year in a while where I might watch regular season baseball. Simply because there's not that much going on right now. Like, I'm not really outside chilling. I'm not really just kicking it outside. There's not a lot of TV shows that are new that I'm kind of like, oh, I can't wait for this to come on. There's no like movie that's about to drop that has me like really captivated. So like, to a degree, sports is a thing I kind of got to live through. I've having moments of seeing sports. The Nationals were playing yesterday. That was interesting. They got rained out. I don't even know if they cut back in, but I was watching it beforehand. I was like, oh, he's getting a whole bunch of strikes. So it's cool.
Who ended up winning that joint?
I don't even know if they came back. There was a rain delay at one point, and like at that point, I kind of was checking out because that rain was serious. Like, I think
the Nationals lost.
They lost.
Yeah, because Soto out.
Yeah, he gone. Like, I mean, a lot of people are gonna be out there.
I was about to put mad money on the game, and then I got the call that Soto was out. I was like, woo.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Man, taking everybody out. And some people are just sitting out voluntarily. Some people don't even have COVID. So I don't know if we're going to repeat. But, hey, fuck it. We got it last year when it counted, nigga. Full series, full season. But how you feel, Rex, about the NBA and all the other sports coming back? Did you get to see any of the games?
Yeah, I was watching some of the Lakers game versus the Mavericks. One thing I noticed was that all the white players on the Mavericks had like the most serious tan ever, yo. Like, it looked like they was trying to be black for real. Like, they had the Black Lives Matter on the court, bro. And they looked the white players just like they was taking that shit way too serious, right? It's like, yo, we gotta be black so we can matter. But like, other than that though, yeah, it was just interesting to see like how they had like the booth and everything set up. And like how the bench is like all spaced out and shit, and it just looked weird. And they got like a bubble around the scorers table, like they're at the convenience store that they don't want to get robbed. So it's like, it's just crazy, man. Like how they like have changed everything, and it was even crazier. This might be permanent, yo. Like this, like literally might be the NBA now, and we don't know. So. Or at least until they come up with a cure for the corona or whatever. But who knows if and when that ever happens.
That's gonna be interesting though. I think watching it though, I mean, you know, they're funneling in like crowd noise like they're doing in a few other like, you know, leagues that are starting up. You know, they got like a few people in there watching, like, you know, they got like, you know,
it looked like a G League game, bro. Like when you watch it, it looked like the G League, bro. Like that's literally what it looked like. It'd be like a couple people in that joint.
Right, like some Summer League shit or some like G League shit. Yeah, it looked like.
And it just be some scouts there with the little clipboard and shit. Like,
you know what? It didn't look that bad to me. It looks successful. It didn't look bad. It didn't seem strange. Now, the only thing is there's no home court advantage and stuff like that. Nobody's booing nobody when the calls happen and shit. Like, to me, like, I like as a Lakers fan, I like our Lakers home court advantage. You know what I'm saying? It's a thing. You know what I'm saying? I feel like even like going into other people's house and stuff like that, it's like a thing, and that's a big factor in playoff games and games in general. Like, I want to know how that's going to change the feel of once it starts counting and these shits is actually for like the championship. Like, is it still going to feel the same way? Like, as we're watching these scrimmages, like, oh, it's a cool scrimmage. What do you feel, Trey?
I saw a little bit of the Clippers game. I guess that was like the first scrimmage. I watched that.
A terrible team to watch. A horrible team to watch.
I mean, they are LA team, but
Ugh.
I saw I watched a little bit of that, and it's like what Rex said. It's kind of like it looked like the G League, like like there's no crowd, and they kind of got set up how like every other sport is set up during Corona now, where like the fans are your teammates who are on the bench. Like, they're the ones that are cheering and like, all that. I thought they were going to do something like the NFL draft where like you could like get on your phone and like cheer or boo or whatever.
That'd be so weird.
I mean, I'd do it. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
about it though. Like, if I had my feet off or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looked okay. It wasn't like too bad. It's just like I said, I think like the crowd in like most sporting events, it has a different effect than just like playing like a pickup game at like a rec center or something like that.
Right.
That's that kind of felt like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. That's the feel that I got, the rec center feel.
And you don't get to see Drake. You don't get to see Spike. You don't get to see Jack. Like, it's just
all
like,
part of it. That's part of it, man.
One thing I felt like I didn't hear the court at all. Like I don't know if that was just a game I like watched, but like I didn't hear the court. I didn't hear like even during a regular broadcast, you hear the crowd, but you also hear a little bit of the court coming out from there where people were saying stuff. You get like a glimpse of somebody talking mess to somebody else, and it's like you kind of missed that. When I heard it, I didn't hear any. It was almost like they cut it out because they were like, we know they're gonna say some wild shit. So
I did hear some. I heard some wild. So. Well, LeBron did. He said apparently they heard him say something. Like LeBron said something when he dunked. I couldn't really make it out on the TV, but they heard him say it like while they was on the court. Like he said, like I'm still the baddest man out here when he like broke away and dunked on somebody, some shit.
Oh yeah, I heard that. I heard him say that.
But Melo during the game, you could hear him when he went up for that rebound. It was like, "Get the fuck out of here! I got it!" Like he said,
I don't know. They might have cut it out for the Wizards game, but I ain't hear any of that.
I'm mad Melo's still doing that, son. Like, we just brought you back into the league, bro. Like, calm down.
Wizards don't talk on the floor, son. They just be out there.
They're just like, man, we're trying to get this game over with.
Right, exactly.
Get this motherfucker
over. Man. Like, I mean, but what's his name? Was he nice out there? Or what's my guy? Hachimura?
Hachimura, what I liked about him, he had a lot of effort. And I want to actually, like, as much as I don't care as much about the bubble time, I want us to really actually, like, go at least to that first round just for Hachimura to a degree. When I say he had effort, he wasn't making every shot, but he was taking a lot more shots. He was actually making decent moves on the basket, making decent plays. He was stepping up a lot more, which I liked. And it's in essence, I like this moment for him because he is, to a degree, the star of the team right now. There are players that have more veteran players on the team. There's more players that can contribute more, but Hachimura is the one that could really show up at this moment. And I really want him to have that confidence to really show up because, like, right before we ended the season, he didn't have the confidence. I've heard reasons why he didn't have that confidence because he started off the season one way. As the season went, his confidence kind of shot and it was, like, done. And you hardly
pushed that nigga around. He was
I heard he got kicked there, in a certain area and something wasn't the same after that. And, like,
no word.
Yeah, that's what rumor was. And, like, it kind of panned out if you watch certain games. It was like he really wasn't the same after he got injured at one point in time. But, like, right now it kind of seemed like he got his swag back. He's kind of coming back out there. He's not, like, killing it, but he's really making efforts towards being that person, which I really like seeing out there. Everybody hypes Hachimura. I was somebody that's vocal saying, like, I don't see it. I'm seeing the effort right now, and that's what I really like about it, and I want to see what his effort pans out to.
That'd be interesting. I feel like this is the time for him to get some experience if he's gonna get it, and then for him to grow up. So Hopefully he does take advantage of that. Anybody in particular y'all are looking forward to seeing in the bubble going forward? I heard Zion has returned to the bubble as of tonight. So what y'all thinking?
Zion's gonna be real interesting. Like people were saying it's what's the name Morant's joint, and I'll give you that. But people were going off about Bol from one game. One game from Bol, and they're just like, oh my gosh. I want to see Zion out there, Zion in shape out there, just going off in this bubble. This might be Zion's bubble, to be honest with you. Like
It could be.
you hyping a lot of people. Braun got some A's. Braun is still Braun. A lot of
Bron
players
is
are still
Bron,
them.
man.
But this might be Zion's bubble. Like they might have to rename this bubble Zion. We're gonna see what happens when he comes out there.
I'll be real. Zion's gonna be the show. Like that's must see TV. Everybody's tuning in to see Zion. I'm gonna be real. You're right. The bubble is about Zion. Now, will he win the championship? That remains to be seen. I kind of doubt that. I don't think the Pelicans can get out of the West. It's pretty tough. But hey, man, I'm tuning in to see Zion. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a fun Pelicans team to watch. You know what I'm saying? To see them in the rec league kind of vibes, and then Lonzo just throwing alley-oops from like half court to Zion, doing like some wild, like jumping above everybody. It's gonna be wild, man. It's gonna be fun. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing my Lakers beat everybody and win the championship because we clearly look like the best team in the bubble right now.
No, it's like an L.
Hey, man, we was chilling. Bron was on the bench. He was cooling, you know what I'm saying? But we look good, though. Bron had 12 and 5. AD had 12 and a couple of blocks and some steals. We only lost by 8, and that's because by like 4 or something. And that's because Seth Curry, who's basically Steph Curry light, went 8 for 8 from like the field and 6 for 6 from 3. That's crazy.
It happens though. People sleep on him. People sleep on him, but he's been stepping up. You can't even knock. He's been stepping up.
He's nice.
Like,
He's
he
got
made
a
it
lot
from
better.
the D League or G League. He's been stepping up. You got to put.
He's got a lot better.
Yeah, this man LeBron really be looking like somebody dead, like out in the game now. Saying like, my man be having the gray in the beard.
Yeah, he got
be
the
having
gray
like,
back there.
and then he be having like the ball spot, like in the back, like where you could tell, like
just showing it.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, this man really out here look like somebody dead, bro. Like I really hope, like his son do get to play against his son. That shit would be hilarious.
It'll be interesting if Braun really shows his real headline. I mean, his real hairline by the time this whole bubble thing's done. Because like I don't know if he has his barber and fixed it.
I think he should go bald, like with the beard and everything. Like I think dudes would be really intimidated by it. They'd be like, "Yo, Braun, like."
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, got the whole
Nah, but I thought that was gonna happen.
Yo,
since he was going with the
balding
grays.
might be harder than bald though. If he had the ham balding hairline, like that joint was looking reckless.
Now you just look
he's still
scary.
going off on you. That'd be a
the
problem.
landing strip.
You can try to say something, but at the same time, like he really going off. But you got to deal with it.
Let Braun get the cul-de-sac joint with the beard, son. Like he
That'd
really
be
look
crazy.
like old head who like you young boys don't know about this game.
I thought he was gonna let it go when he came out with the grays. I thought he was just gonna let it go, and since he did. But I mean, to be honest, they probably let Braun have his own barbers in the barbershop. Like Braun's barbers are probably there.
He just gotta come out with a Kofi on, looking like a Muslim.
That'd be crazy if they came out there hooping like that.
If he came out with the kufi on, son, it'd be too hard. It'd be too hard. And Braun not even Muslim, but it'd be like, man, Braun Muslim today. He
Kufi Braun though, serious, son. Kufi Braun, let him be.
Like, he got the beard, son.
Yeah.
He said on Fridays he
That
go
shit would
hard.
look hard though. Yeah, that shit would be hard. I wouldn't even be mad.
That would be hard. Like, bro, like every talk, son, it'd be on CNN just because he has a kufi on. They wouldn't even care that he dropped like 40 or something. Like, Braun is wearing a kufi. You know? Like, Braun is
put up 60 points that game, but the kufi. They'd be like, they're like, Braun's the best Muslim player in the NBA. It's obvious. Look at that kufi.
Kufi Braun is gonna take on the life of his own.
Kufi Braun, GOAT NBA player, bar none. Son.
Yo, I need somebody to make the Kufi Braun meme. Like
the hardest.
Definitely gonna be in 2K. It's gonna be in 2K next year.
Since Kareem, son. Since Kareem or Shaq, son, he be the hardest Muslim player ever.
Oh wait, Shaq is Muslim?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
I never knew that. I guess he never really talked about that.
Because he doesn't like put it out there like that. Cause I remember reading that he was like, "Mother."
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, that was a good talk about the NBA. Now let's get into a very controversial topic. Controversial for some, not as much for me, but it's controversial for some. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Nasir Jones, aka Nas.
Oh Lord.
I'm sorry, folks. I know you love him. I love him too. I respect him as a hip hop artist. Like, all jokes aside, now I'm not even gonna joke. Like, I respect him as a hip hop artist. His contribution to hip hop has been substantial. He has a classic album that is one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time, top 10, hands down. Him himself as an MC overall, his career totality being taken into account. I'm sorry, guys. Nas is not a top 20 rapper of all time. Now, you may be looking at your screen right now like, how in the hell can this guy ever say that Nas, one of the greatest MCs ever to rap, is not one of the 20 greatest to ever rap? I'm going to tell you this, man. Illmatic's one of the greatest albums of all time, hands down, top 10. What else?
We really gotta have this conversation again.
We do.
Every week.
Every week.
This is the definitive combo.
Nas's name. Like,
this is the definitive combo. If someone can,
This is the central focus of our podcast.
if someone can tell me what the outside accolade in addition to Illmatic is, I will gladly give it up. I could be overlooking something, but I think thorough.
So I'm gonna give you a history lesson like a college professor does his students, or an absentee father does his son.
Absentee father.
Illmatic, when it came out, it really is a reflection of that time in hip hop, that time in New York. It's just like when you see it, even the cover, first of all, is his baby picture. First of all, the baby picture is supposed to be a reflection of how serious Nas was as a child, not because it's a dope photo of him looking like a mean 4-year-old, but because it was supposed to show that he was aware of his environment that he's in, which is the Queensbridge housing projects, largest housing projects in the country, by the way.
Word life.
And at the time, Nas was supposed to be the combination of Rakim and Kool G Rap.
That's true.
Who were like, arguably like, you know, the best rappers like lyrically of all time. Like they're like the blueprint of like multi-syllabic rhyming and all this other stuff. And it was street rap. Because everybody know Kool G Rap is like more the street rap. Rakim is more like the philosopher, intellectual type raps, but he still could make hits though. And that's what Nas was doing. He's like, well, you combine the best of those things, you got Nas. You see what I'm saying? And then, like, even when you hear Nas's raps, like on the joint, what's it called? Live at the Barbecue, on the Main Source album. That's Large Professor and 2 Canadian DJs, for people who don't know. When you hear that verse, he was like one of the first people to actually get a controversial rap verse. And it was a guest verse for him talking about he went to hell for snuffing Jesus. Like, nobody was rapping like that for like as far as the mainstream rap out. Nah, you're not gonna get your say in. I'm gonna finish. Because this nigga probably going to rant. And
I just wanted to pause you on the live at the barbecue part because I just wanted to ask you about that particularly. Why is that such a feather in the cap for Nas? Because I don't think that line is that.
Because Nas wrote that joint at 16. How many 16-year-olds you know were, especially at that time, how many 16-year-olds were rapping like that? Rapping that hard to say, when I was 12, I went to hell for snuffing Jesus. Not that I agree with that or condone any of that, but it was the fact that, he said it. And when I even saw a video of this nigga Nas rapping that verse when he was like 17, 18 at a show. Like, I think Large Professor was there, Sway was there, and I didn't even recognize Sway other than the fact that he had that hat that Sway is famous for.
Man, Sway Calloway.
the suede hat that has dreads or whatever is contained in that hat. But he was at the show, and I'd never seen. And the concert was like a basement like party or something like that. But I don't think I've ever seen like people get so hyped for one dude who didn't have an album out or a record deal at the time rap this verse, and everybody was like just hyped when he rapped it because everybody knew the words to it. And even when he finished rapping it, he just kind of like walked away like Nas had to go home there like, yo, I got school tomorrow, like some wild stuff like that. And and then Illmatic was hyped because at the time a lot of people were doing albums where they only rap with like one producer or one DJ because it kind of did the sound. But then Nas got all these all-star producers together because they all wanted to be on this album because they knew like, well, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You got Nas. And he was rapping with his real name. Like, even like his name is Nas. Like, word. Yeah. Like, his name is Nas. And he gets DJ Premier from Gangstar to do beats. He gets my guy like Pete Rock to do beats. You get Large Professor to do beats. You get LES to do beats, who actually has hits, but a lot of people don't realize that because nobody really knows who LES is. But if you look through credits of albums, like you see, like he actually got hits with like people like pop stars and shit too. He's kind of like Scott Storch in that sense. But you got LES, and then you got one feature on the whole album. Like it's AZ. He's not from Queens, but he's just as nice. He arguably might be nicer than Nas. He just didn't have that. He didn't have Steve Stout to help put
AZ is nicer than Nas.
He could arguably be nicer than Nas. He didn't have the star power.
Not arguably is.
I'm okay. We get into that. but then Illmatic dropped, and it's a once in a lifetime thing, and it was short. It's only 10 songs, but really 9 because the intro doesn't really count. It's 9 songs. And there isn't one weak song on the whole album. He goes hard the whole album. Nobody, and then it's kind of like the blueprint for like rappers. I think because Nas really is like, he was like the second coming of Rakim, because Rakim was like the only rapper who was like, because how old was Rakim when he dropped first? Rakim was like 18 or 19 when he came out with Paid in Full. And that was like the first time anybody seen that. And then Nas does it. And arguably Nas did it better than Rakim. It was like an upgrade from that, because he brought in the street raps with it. He brought in that Cool G rap type, like, and you could literally see, even if you weren't from the hood, you could see the hood through how Nas was rapping. Like, you could see the projects. If you weren't from there, it could take you there. And that's what a lot of things that rap misses. Even though there were rappers in the 90s who did that well, and you could kind of see like where they were from how they rap. A lot of rappers nowadays don't do that. They don't take you where they're really from. It's kind of like generic, like, store brand rap music. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could rap about the streets in the hood, but I wouldn't know where you're from unless I saw that Breakfast Club interview, or if I didn't watch the radio show or this podcast to know that you were from this place. Like, Nas really is Queensbridge. Like, how many rappers do you know from Queensbridge other than Mobb Deep who like are from that level that you like? Who was the last big rapper to come out of Queensbridge? You can't even name nobody. Like, the last big rapper. I ain't talking about New York. I ain't talking about Brooklyn or somebody that walks through Queensbridge to get to wherever they're going.
If we just talk about Queens at large. Okay.
Who was the last big rapper to come from those projects?
Queensbridge, I don't know.
And the fact that even after Illmatic came out, Nas was still in the projects. When Illmatic dropped, like Mobb Deep said the same thing when their album dropped. Everybody was still in the hood. Nobody had moved away yet because Nas didn't even have no money like that at the time. He didn't really move out the projects until it was written drop, because that's where the hits came. But Illmatic is as street as it gets. It's as hood as it gets. If there
Did you say hits as in plural hits on It Was Written?
You heard me. So,
I think there's only one hit in It Was Written.
So,
I think that's my issue with Nas.
But Illmatic is the blueprint that people still go to. Like, if you're gonna come out with a debut album, as far as like, and I ain't talking about just for like radio hits. If you want to come out with an album that people want to talk about, like we're talking about it now. You're saying Nas is not a top 20 rapper, but here we are in the 3rd episode of the podcast. You keep bringing it up that he's not a top 20 rapper, but you keep talking about it.
Because I think, but this is why. This is why. Because as beautiful as your history lesson is, the history lesson is about Illmatic and not Nas's career. Illmatic is beautiful. It is one of the greatest hip hop albums, hands down. But after Illmatic, I'm sorry, his career is not the top 20 caliber. You take Illmatic off of his career resume, he's not close to the top 20 at all.
But that's the problem. You're talking with what ifs and hypotheticals.
But that's not even okay.
Illmatic is on his
even with Illmatic on there, he's top 20.
Even if Illmatic was his only album, even if Illmatic it was written where his only 2 albums, he would still be top 20 most influential, like one of the most influential rappers ever. Because people started trying to copy that style. Everybody was trying to do. They even mentioned it on the greatest rap album of all time, Only Built for Cuban Links, that niggas was jocking Nas. They have a whole skit about it on the Only Built for Cuban Links. They were like, niggas was jocking off of Nas shit. They were talking about Biggie Smalls. They talking about rappers trying to be like Wu-Tang, rappers trying to be like Nas, rappers trying to be like Mobb Deep, because that was like the hardest music out at the time. And then every rapper tried to jump on it. Your man Jay-Z didn't find a style until 96. Like he been rapping since 88 and didn't find his style until 96. Arguably 98 when he first got his real hit.
That's true, but this is the thing that you can say about Jay-Z that you can't say about Nas. Jay-Z is a top 5 rapper of all time, and his catalog backs it up. Take away Reasonable,
it's not.
He still has multiple classics. Take away Reasonable Doubt and Blueprint, and he still has multiple classics. You can't even put him and Nas in the same sentence to me. Like they're not even on the same level.
If we're talking about most influential rappers of all time, they're both top 5 because everybody goes back to Nas and Jay. They do it all the time, and you know it. They go back to Jay.
They do, but to me, it seems like it's only because of Illmatic with Nas. Like Nas doesn't have anything beyond Illmatic that's inspiring to me. Like everything.
If it was solely because of Illmatic, that conversation would have ended a while ago. To be real with you, like. It would have been done. And that's the realest thing you gotta say about that. If you look at Nas's career, what are you looking for? Are you looking for singles? He basically has a single on every album.
I'm looking
for
classics.
As far as albums, you
albums.
You didn't listen is the whole thing about it. You're going off of vibes. If you're not going to tell me you sat there and listened to every Nas album and you're like, oh, this is trash.
I'll say this.
You didn't listen to every Nas album. Oh, this is trash.
I'm going to say this.
You did not listen to every Nas album.
I'm going to say this. I'm not listening to every single Nas album, but I've listened to a majority of Nas.
How many albums?
The majority. I don't know how many he has in his record, but there's only like maybe.
So you listened to It Was Written?
Like 4 through. Yes, I've listened to It Was Written.
And you didn't like It Was Written?
Not that I didn't like It Was Written, but it's not a classic album. It's not a top 20 caliber album. Compared to other MCs who's contributed to hip hop, that's not even close to cracking the top 20 of albums. And anything after that is worse than that. So
I'm saying,
top 20.
It Was Written better than Kingdom Come.
Yes. And Kingdom Come
is written better than
Jay-Z's most ass album. It is better than Jay-Z's most ass album.
What about Blueprint 3?
Come is not as most like it's Blueprint 3.
So you're thinking about it. That's the thing about it. You're sitting there. You're very far.
But these are Jay-Z's worst albums.
I'm not.
Like these
I'm
are
not going to
the
knock Jay, but you're saying
compared to Black Album.
You're saying that Nas ain't anywhere in the category.
Compared to Black Album. Compared to Black Album is what I'm saying. Compared to
you're gonna put Jay's best
is what I'm saying.
Jay's
compared to Volume 2, Volume 1. Like these are all Jay-Z. Compared to Volume 3 with Big Pimp, like it was written compared to those albums.
Reasonable Doubt isn't better than Illmatic, and that's all that matters.
You can say that. That's arguable.
His best album isn't better than Illmatic. It's not better than It Was Written either. Because Reasonable Doubt, a lot of that just takes from It Was Written because everybody was trying to be mafioso.
Nah, you got chill. It Was written in response mostly to Reasonable Doubt because he was.
They came out the same year.
But he was taking shots at Jay-Z on there. He was talking about.
No, Jay-Z said that because he was paranoid.
He said, what did he say about the Lexuses and the TVs and the headrests? Who else was talking about that?
Did he?
Son, Jay-Z only said that to make beef because nobody was thinking about Jay-Z.
All right. But beyond Jay-Z, this is a referendum on Nas. Beyond Jay-Z, God's Son, not a good album. Stillmatic, not a good album.
All right.
The End album, not a good album.
I like the End album.
Nasir, You like the N album?
I like the N album. I'm gonna straight up say that. Like I like the N
That's
album.
cool. That's
I
cool.
played that. It had dope.
The intro was dope.
It had some
I
cool.
thought it when
Like,
it came out.
It had a couple cool songs. But I don't think it
people
was
hate on the
overall
N
a great
album, but like I feel like you gotta really listen to the N album. I'm not gonna say I listen to every Nas album. I listen to Streets Disciple. It was cool, but I'm not gonna say it was like the best Nas album or it's better than
Is
most.
that the
other
album you
joints.
played in the car when we was high that one time?
Nah,
Streets
that was-
Disciple, nah, but
That was
Streets
his
Disciple,
most recent album. His most recent output.
Yo,
Nah.
whatever album that was,
The
bro,
last
that was
joint,
the worst album. I ever
yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. The
album
Nasir.
was so bad.
I'm not
yeah.
gonna co-sign Nasir, and that I'm gonna put that a lot of that on Kanye. And whether that's worth it or not, Kanye supposedly changed all the beats up last minute. You change beats up on songs, it might work out and it might not. And the whole album sounds like it might not. Like some of the beats are cool, but it doesn't mesh the same way that if you wrote to it, if you can kind of stay in a pocket with it, like it just to me it didn't work. And I'm gonna give you that. Nasir didn't work.
all I know is your argument is invalid. It lacks facts. It doesn't have the credentials to go up against what has already been cemented as history. These are facts.
I just
You
don't
can't
see
speak
it.
in hypotheticals to things that have already
Because
been proven.
there are
And
rappers.
with
who are
evidence,
there are rappers who are currently in the game with multiple classic albums, and Nas can't say that. Like Kendrick Lamar has multiple classic albums. Kanye West has multiple classic albums, and they're both in the game as newer artists than Nas. How is he top 5? And there are 2 artists right now with like Kanye doesn't even have just 2 classic albums. He has multiple. Same with Ken. Like, how can he be better than them? And they're not even in a lot of people's top 20.
because Nas came first. What you mean?
Exactly. It was
Son,
written.
that doesn't
Come on,
matter.
nah,
Do they-
that's a
no, no,
terrible
no,
argument.
no. Do they have an album
That's
better
a
than it was
terrible
written?
argument.
Do they have an album better than it was written though?
Yes.
Do they have an album better than
Butterfly,
Illmatic?
Good Kid, Mad
And-
City,
and-
damn, all better than it was written.
What about
And,
Illmatic?
and a lot of them have all said that Nas is one of their biggest influences.
Illmatic, I'll say this. The only one that comes close to, well, actually, look. I think Good Kid, Mad City is close. College Dropout is
For what?
kind of level, though, as far as the debut.
College
You said
Dropout's
Good
not
Kid,
close.
Mad City is close to Illmatic.
It's a classic debut, though. But Good Kid, Mad City is close to Illmatic, yes. 1,000%. It is like
It's
almost,
not even his best album. So like,
it's like the new Illmatic.
it's not even his best album. So.
It's not, but I think a lot of, that's my point. That is my point. He has better albums than Nas, and they don't consider him top 5 when he
Not
should.
the Illmatic though.
That's
It's not. Illmatic
I'll give
is
you
that
Illmatic.
important.
I'll give
Illmatic
you
is that important.
I'll give you that. I'll give you Illmatic.
people
There's no
won't
Good
move
Kid,
it.
Mad City without.
But look, but that's what I'm saying. We're still having this conversation. Like Illmatic came out almost
He's
like
top
came out
5
almost
off of
20
one
years
album.
ago.
So he's
Illmatic
top 5
came out-
off one album.
Illmatic came out over 20 years ago. We're still having this conversation whether or not who's better. Like it's obvious because you keep talking about Nas. Right?
I just want to know: is it only because of the one album that we're giving Nas?
And you know what? That's even more impressive that we're still talking about whether or not Nas is top 20 all time off of one album. Is the album that important? The album is probably in the.
But I don't think it's because it's that important. I think it's because other people have come.
You know what? It is.
Accomplished more and haven't been put in that same vein.
I
Like,
think it is. I think his album is in the Library of Congress. It's that important.
why is
It-
Kanye
that
West
album-
not top 5 all time?
I just said the
doesn't
Library
write.
of Congress, and he's talking about
Huh?
Kanye.
He doesn't write.
Because it doesn't write.
He's
He doesn't
talking about-
write.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay. Okay.
I
it
said,
doesn't write.
I said it's in the Library of Congress. He was like, no, Kanye.
Okay. Wait, Kendrick Lamar. Why is he not top 5? Pulitzer Prize for Damn.
He'll probably be a top 10
Like,
rapper.
Remember how Nas rapped about
For-
being a Pulitzer
for,
Prize
like,
winner? Like
his
Nas was
delicate-
like Pulitzer.
for his
that's-
decade,
that's-
Kendrick is definitely top 5 for his decade.
But
It's
not
kind of
all
hard.
time.
All time is a weird thing.
4
It's
classic
weird.
albums.
All time becomes
Arguably
very
4 in a
much.
row.
All time is very much like a perspective. Like my perspective is my favorite. You cannot like say somebody that rocked it with Africa Bambaataa times that Kendrick's going to be their top 5. Like it's a
Yeah,
different
I don't
type
know.
of hip-hop,
Rakim
like-
could be top 5.
Yeah, but that's Rakim.
There's some
But
people
like
who-
it depends on what you really was into, what really resonated with you. Somebody that
Right.
really liked old hip hop, they're not going to put Kendrick in their top 5. It really just depends on like you really got to put that by decade per se. Like you're not going to put every new rapper in the top
I
five
think
'cause you're pushing
maybe
people out that are still legends at that point.
and probably 10 years from now, there'll be people who come up and say Kendrick's in their top 5 because that's what they came up on. Like my top 5, I wouldn't have Kendrick in my top 5 regardless if I think he's a good rapper because I didn't grow up on his music. His music came out when I was in college. I already done my shit. Like, but it's different when music comes out during your formative years, though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I feel like
Tupac still top
in my
5.
formative years.
I mean, because that was college,
Top
but it
5.
feels different when you grew up on things versus like, I don't know, like To Pimp a Butterfly. I like that album only because of its message and people weren't doing conscious rap like that anymore. Regardless if they talking about police brutality, but you gotta still be awful about it. Just don't say cop whooping my ass. Like that's not awful. Like put some effort into it. But like, and Kendrick put effort into the Black experience on that album, which makes it good because it sounds like Water for Chocolate. It sounds like something common would write, but it's just updated. So that's what made it good. But and I'm sure, like I said, down the line there'll be people who say like Kendrick is a top 5. They'll probably have Drake in a top 5. I'm sure somebody does. They'll probably have Drake and Kendrick and J. Cole and I don't know who else is in their group, but like it'll be those 3. They'll have them in there as like those.
I would put Kendrick and Drake in the top 10 top 10, top 20 at least.
I mean top
5.
Top 10, top 20 rappers
top
all
5.
time. No, because there's been so many rappers before then. They'll never be
top
like
5.
There'll never be a top 5.
I don't even care who came before Kendrick. Kendrick is
There can definitely be a top 5, bro. Y'all wildin', bro. Like it don't matter what decades your music came out in, bro. Like that shit fire. That shit fire. Like we still talk about how good fucking Ready to Die is. Nigga, you think I heard Ready to Die in 90 something when it first came out? I couldn't even buy that shit. Like
let alone understand it. Like for real.
You know what I'm saying? And that's different. But see, like I'm saying, like Biggie Smalls, if there's a top 5, they'll have Biggie Smalls at top 5 because we're still talking about it. If there's a top 5, they'll have Nas in there. They'll have Jay-Z in there. They'll have Tupac in there. And then whoever your 5th person is, it'll probably be somebody like I don't know who everybody else talks about out of them 4. Who out of a majority they say like, oh man, that's Tupac. I don't know who would be like in that 5th spot. That 5th spot could probably just go to anybody that you just happen to like as your favorite artist. But those 4,
I don't put Nas in the top. I don't put Nas there. Like,
but
Nas doesn't
You
belong
know
in that
somebody
group.
that nobody really mentions that really should be in that conversation also is Snoop. And you saw that on the Verzuz joint. That's the reason why I feel like it has to go by decade. Because it's like you cannot really name, as soon as you name 5 people that everybody can agree these 5 people are amazing, next level, put out immaculate stuff. There's still 5 more that's going to be at the same level where it's just like, yo.
Can I say this?
You can't knock this person's career. You can't knock this person's album.
Trey just named the top 5, and he said those are like the consensus top 5. How in the world is Nas in this consensus top 5 before Snoop Dogg? They came out in the same decade era.
Because Snoop has
more hits and classic albums.
Snoop has one classic album.
R&G is definitely a classic album.
No, it's not. It has a classic song.
Multiple classic songs.
No.
Okay, I wouldn't give it a classic.
But you might have a couple songs on R&B, but he has one classic album.
I'll say this. Doggy Style is his one undeniable classic. He also wrote on Chronic, and he has way more shit ton of classic hits and songs than Nas does. Just songs. He has way more classic songs in his catalog than Nas. Way more longevity and relevance to this day than Nas. How is Nas in the top 5 ahead of Snoop?
Can we give Snoop credit for Chronic or no?
Yes. He wrote but a G thing. That is the Chronic. Well, not really.
Technically it was Dre's album. But Chronic is definitely like a top album there. That's just like top. Chronic definitely top 10, might be top 5.
That's 2 top 5 albums he's responsible for. Doggy Style and Chronic. Nas cannot
but the Chronic isn't a Snoop
say
Dogg.
that.
Snoop Dogg.
It's not a Snoop Dogg album, but without Snoop Dogg's, like literally without Snoop Dogg.
It wouldn't be the same without Snoop. I
You
mean,
know
it
what
was
I'm
more than Snoop on it though. I'm not going to put it
saying?
100% on Snoop. There were still other
DOC
people,
on some
DOC.
on there.
You
You know
got
what I'm saying?
Daz touching it.
As
You
well,
got
you
there's
know
a
what I'm
lot of
saying? Got
people
some beats
corrupt
on
on
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying? There's some people on it.
There's a lot of people that took effect
Who
to it, but
brought who
Snoop
brought
was
them
really
into
the
the fold?
star that was in it
Who
though.
brought Daz and Corrupted to the fold? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's dog pound. You feel me? Like, I don't know, man. They gotta start putting respect on Snoop's name, and that's above Nas. I'm sorry. He's better than Nas all time. I'm sorry. And that New York bias shit with Nas being it, like, no, I'm sorry, bro. He's better than Nas all time. They're in the same decade, and he was better in the decade. I'm telling you.
But I'll be real with you. Snoop probably will not have an album in the Library of Congress, nor will Snoop probably have any
Doggy
album
Style
that
should be.
somebody.
Doggy
They're
Style
probably
should be
not
in the
going to do
Library
that,
of
and they're
Congress, bro.
probably not going to have any college courses on
Cause
Snoop.
you know what it is. You know
Bitches
why?
ain't shit, bro.
They ain't
I'm
gonna
telling
have
you,
no
man. Y'all
college
need
courses
to
on his
analyze
lyrics.
that.
They might have some parties on his lyrics, but they ain't gonna have no courses on the lyrics.
I'm telling you, because
It would be funny if Doggy
Illmatic,
Style was in Library of Congress.
I could see out of those 4 rappers I named, like Tupac could have Me Against the World in there.
I'll give you
Nas
Tupac.
could have Illmatic in there. Jay-Z could have Reasonable Doubt in there. Biggie could easily have Ready to Die there because it's literally a time capsule of that time. You could literally
What about
see
Doggy Style? Like, how
Son,
you leave
just the
Doggy
album
Style out of that? Doggy
I could've
Style,
said-
you can't leave Doggy Style out of that. You
Son, just the
can't.
album title.
All of
Just the
those albums
title.
are made off Doggy Style, though. Like, even there's no Ready to Die without Doggy Style. Sonically,
They definitely will have.
they told you they play all that
definitely-
sound from the West Coast. They said it.
But it's not the sound. I'm telling you, like if you listen to the Chronic album back and forth, even the Chronic has introspective songs on it. Doggy Styles is straight up nigga fest through the whole album.
And it
It's
still
dope.
just holds the test of time, bro. Like,
it's
you
dope.
cannot tell me that Murder Was the Case is not one of the most flawless records ever written.
It's a snitching record, bro. It's like nah, bro.
Wow. He innocent.
But nah, but it is though.
I like it.
But
I
I'm
like it
saying-
when we throw jabs.
But I feel like the Chronic, you could really see like LA at the time because like it has the songs like The Day the Niggas Took Over, and they got the one joint, Little Ghetto Boy, and not just the other singles on the Chronic. You know what I'm saying? You could really see Compton and LA at that time before you like Doggy Style, because kind of feels like it's a day in the life of Snoop Dogg, but it's not really like the whole LA.
I feel you.
What about Cube? Are we sleeping on Cube?
We are sleeping on Cube.
We are
We're
definitely
definitely sleeping
another
on
person
Cube
with
now.
multiple classics who, for some reason, Nas is better than.
The thing I will say about
Bias
Cube,
is annoying, yo.
I will say it's an East Coast bias because I'm not a West Coast dude. I rock with a lot of early Cube, but at a certain point, I wasn't really like playing like West Side Connection joints. When
I'll
he
give
had
you that.
songs that were in like Friday and stuff like that, them songs were cool, but when they were in the movie, I listened to it, but I wasn't listening to it outside of the movie.
Does
I'm
he
not
have
buying
three?
that album.
Does he have 3 undeniable certified classics in hip hop with not the NWA album?
If you're including NWA, yes. If you're not including NWA, I would say at least 2.
Okay.
Because you guys say
NWA
Death
album,
Certificate.
Death
and
Certificate, and
America's
American
Most
Most Wanted.
Wanted.
All of them, that's 3 classics. Nas has how many? You can't do that for Nas. And to me, that is what's frustrating. You can't tell me that Nas is over Ice Cube. And that starts that conversation down that rabbit hole of Nas getting pushed further
I'll tell you, no, one thing I will
as
say.
we bring up more names with
One thing
classic
I will
albums.
say, when Nas dropped the album with Kanye, I didn't rock with it, but you know what I did? I listened. If
And
Ice
it was
Cube drops,
shitty.
no, if Ice Cube drops an album right now,
I would not listen. I can't.
exactly, and that's the realest thing you can say about that. Like,
This is
you're at least
what-
gonna
I
give
love you,
Nas
Ice
that
Cube.
benefit of the doubt.
Are we there yet? The album?
like shit. I'll watch Big 3 and all that, but I'm not gonna listen to you next.
This is what I'm saying. We wouldn't dedicate 20 minutes to discussing anything about Ice Cube right now. But
That's
here
terrible.
we
I don't
are
know about that.
having a second episode dedicated to the man that you hate.
I don't hate him. That's the thing. I love Nas. I know Illmatic front to back, yo. Like from Illmatic, I bumped that joint. Like I love Illmatic, and it's just not there for the rest of his career to me. I'm sorry. Like he doesn't live up to the caliber of MC that they put him on for the rest of his career. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm not saying he's not one of the greatest. The Illmatic is his crowning achievement by far, and he doesn't come close again, ever. And just because Stillmatic has half the name Illmatic in there does not make it a classic album. That's it. All right, so moving on to the next topic, which is our final topic for the day, man. Top 5 sitcoms of all time. That's what we're going to talk about. Who has a list?
I definitely got my sitcoms. All I watch.
You have all 5 already?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You know what your top 5 sitcoms are? Damn, because me,
I literally like put it in my head because I heard y'all talking about it. I was like on my phone, I was like, oh, I got this.
I know one of them for you at least. I'm a guess at least one of them got to be Seinfeld.
Yes, one of them is Seinfeld.
I know you're gonna say. I knew you were gonna say.
I ain't gonna hold you. It's Seinfeld.
I knew you say that off the jump. But who wants to go first with their list? Do you want to go first since you have your?
I'll go first.
Okay.
All right,
This is Trey's top 5.
And it's no particular order. So number 1, I got Seinfeld. Number 2, I probably got Martin. I want to say Martin. Number 3, I definitely. Oh man, why am I losing it now, man? Oh, of course. Yeah, see, everybody would think I got white sitcoms in mind, but I watch what I watch. I got that 70s show in there. I go keep having it on in front of me right now, and I ain't going front.
Okay, I can't be mad at that.
Number 4, I definitely got. It's probably the Wayans Brothers because I do watch that a lot.
Interesting.
Wayans Brothers, and then number 5 is probably like a curveball. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I got show Arrested Development. I definitely have that.
Interesting.
And that's only like 3 good seasons, but yet when I first saw it, and I only started watching that like a month or 2 ago because, you know, you on Netflix and you looking for something to watch. And I never watched it when it was on TV originally. But,
a lot of people put that in their top, to be honest.
And I caught myself crying, laughing at almost every episode because it's that stupid. And it would never get played today. It was ahead of its time. Because I don't think a show like that would even get played today. It's too much. It's too many racist jokes. And it's too many, like, they got all kind of like racist jokes, the homophobic jokes. I said, I don't even think a show like that would even get made nowadays.
I gotta watch Arrested Development because a lot of people put that at least in their top 10. So.
Oh wait, does animated shows count?
Nah.
Yeah, I'm debating on that because like I don't think animated shows count.
I was like, animated shows count. I mean, I gotta change that whole thing up.
That's a whole other wormhole. We could talk about that one
That's
next
a whole
week.
nother list, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother list right there. But okay, I like that top 5. I think that's our top 5.
Shoot.
Sitchin, you want to go on your top 5?
I do have a top 5 list. I did just switch it up slightly. But I'm gonna give you my top 5 list. This is no order in particular. My list is kind of different than Trey's though, to be real with you. So I got Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know if y'all watched that, but that joint like has me like really. I laugh my ass off of Curb.
Yeah.
I also got Martin on there because I feel like you cannot have a list without Martin. I don't care what race you are or whatever it is. Martin was special for his time. It's like the Illmatic of TV shows. It's like you gotta be like everybody copies that scene with the rat that's like a dog. Like that joint's been in movies. And when I say everybody, it's in white movies. It's in everything. They copy that scene. Like that's why it's like the grail of shows. There was so much physical comedy. There's certain things they did that people expound upon. I had the Wayans Bros because that giant, it really resonated with me. I was younger. I still play it today. I still die laughing. John Witherspoon is like ridiculously bang, bang, bang. What's that song that you hear at night? There's so many episodes of the Wayans Bros that has me dying laughing. Crazy. But also going on, I'm going to say The Office in there. The Office is beloved by a lot of people. That giant is really hilarious. I haven't watched it in a while. But the second I cut on the episode that I didn't see since it first showed or I didn't see in damn near 10 years, I'm still dying laughing. I still kind of know what's going on. Like, it resonated with me to that point where, like, The Office is that joint. My 5th joint, I'm going to say the Bernie Mac show. Because Bernie Mac is hilarious. Like, straight up, it's hilarious.
Good pick.
Like, ridiculous. I do have to put some honorable mentions in there, though, because, like,
I can't even be mad at
kind
you.
of tight.
Can't be mad.
Thinking about the Bernie Mac show, I got to put Steve Harvey show in there also. Personally, that joint was like, there were moments where that joint was hilarious with Bullethead. They had Levita. Like, there's certain characters. I'm not gonna say it's fully because of Steve Harvey that I like the show. It was kind of the surrounding characters that made that joint like really funny. Like the stuff that Bullethead, the fact that there was a white dude named Bullethead. Like
Yeah.
just thinking of stuff like that is kind of just hilarious to me. Like
Steve
I
Harvey
rock with
was
Bullethead.
definitely hilarious.
There's a new show that I want to put, like, it only has one season, but it really had me dying laughing, called Southside. That's on Comedy Central. I don't know if it's fully ready to be on the list, but that's kind of like to be watched. If it keeps going, like, I feel like it's going to be up there because I was dying laughing watching that joint last year.
That's a good list, and I like those honorable mentions that you threw in there. Definitely gets me to thinking for sure. Like, man, like to hear both of your lists so far, man, like that's a bunch of top tier sitcoms that's hard to leave out of your top 5 of anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like those are some real top ones. Rex, you got a top 5?
Top 5 sitcoms.
Yeah.
I should have made my list.
I feel you, man. I didn't make a list either. I'm gonna go off the top.
Number 1. Well, actually, my top 5 might not be in no particular order, but
Right.
definitely I gotta put Martin in there. It's top 5.
So that seems like a consensus top 5.
Yeah, 100%. Martin is probably like the funniest sitcom, like out of all of them. Bernie Mac show was a good one. People sleep on Bernie Mac show.
They do.
Shows in there. I know a lot of people put Friends in there. I like Friends, but I like Seinfeld better than Friends. I don't know why. I'll probably have to put Seinfeld in there.
Word.
Like, I gotta give Friends an honorable mention, maybe.
Word life.
I don't know if I can put Friends in top 5.
I'm happy that you at least mentioned Friends though, because they are.
Yeah, Friends is up there. I can't hold Friends, John.
Yeah, can't hold it.
Personally, the type of person I am, I just like Seinfeld better.
I feels you. Same way.
And then, of course, Fresh Prince is definitely in top 5, 100%.
Yeah.
Another good one was Family Matters. Like Family Matters is low key slept on young, but Family Matters is actually funny, man.
That's
like you watch that, especially if you watch that joint high, bro.
That's one of the greatest.
Nigga Urkel be geeking, young. Like that man be wilding the fuck out, bro.
That's one of the greatest sitcoms, though, for real. Like Steve Urkel is one of the greatest TV characters to ever be on.
Right, he completely stole the show.
The whole show
wasn't even supposed to be about him, yeah.
No bullshit. Like he had a whole
like,
cameo.
He was supposed to be the quirky neighbor, but he became one of the main characters. Like
lift that joint, crazy, yo.
Yeah, he did. Like he just completely.
They did a whole skit about it on Key and Peele, where like Urkel took over. It was supposed to be Carl Weathers. He came in there. He was like, "What is this? The show called Family Matters." And that's it.
That joke is so hilarious. That joke is funny. That's one of their funniest skits for real. That's like a classic Key piece. Did you give all 5?
I gave close to 5, I think.
So I think you said Martin.
You know what else was a good sitcom though? I like. Well, of course, the Jeffersons was the shit, and what the fuck was the giant with Florida Evans
Good times.
and JJ? Yeah, bro, good times, Joe.
Yeah, I feel like that's a whole other combo. I feel like we can get into.
I know, because now I feel like I want to change.
Because like you gonna get into black sitcoms. I can't even. Because then you get into black sitcoms, man. Like that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you gotta treat that like something else, man. That's crazy.
I'm gonna just put Different Strokes out there. Different Strokes was pretty good. Like I just like the episode, son, where that nigga went to the bicycle shop.
You gotta chill. You gotta chill. I gotta chill.
Son, oh my god!
Why is that the most classic episode?
Son, and the episode is like it's dark in a way where like they got
in a way.
But he's like, "You guys want to have some wine and some pizza? We can jump on my bed." And the audience was like, oh my God, this is so hilarious. He's about to rape him. Like, it's
Yo.
Oh, wow.
Right,
So he's getting them niggas drunk, bro. He's giving them deadly wine, bro.
right.
And they,
Son,
Yo.
it's a 2-part episode. Like, why?
yeah.
Yo, oh my goodness. I'm dead. that
Yo,
we
he
missed
had
it.
these niggas watching hentai in the fucking house and shit, dog. Like,
Man, they're trying to teach y'all about pedophilia early, bro. Like, they're trying to.
That was a crazy episode. Like, that's
bro,
a
that
top
was
10.
wild.
That's a top 10. What they have like special episodes. Like, that's
Yeah.
a top 10 special episode.
No, bro. It is. That is. And that automatically qualifies them for being one of the greatest of all time, for sure. And they have one of the greatest catchphrases of all time, too. What you talking about? What's like,
Oh,
come on, man.
And then the Gooch, bro. Gooch, bro. The Gooch
They-
is a real thing.
Yeah, that's top notch. That's a good list. That's a good couple sitcoms we threw out there. Definitely gets a lot of people's juices flowing as far as like the best sitcoms, man. But listening to y'all's list and just thinking of, some other ones, it's really tough to like not have 1,000,000 honorable mentions. But I'll try my best to do it the top 5. So in no particular order, one that I think is one of the greatest ones, which is also probably my favorite one, Fresh Prince. I've seen like every episode of Fresh Prince. I got the DVDs, like seasons of Fresh Prince, you know what I'm saying? Like Fresh Prince is my shit. I think they tackled a lot of great like issues on the show. I think they depicted a different element of Black life on the show. I thought that the concept of the show was something that hadn't been done really. I just thought it was really interesting how they did it. And it was just hilarious as shit. Like they had a rapper as the lead like on the show, which was like unheard of at the time, you know what I'm saying? Like I thought that was definitely a very classic show for many reasons. Another one that's kind of in the same vein as that show, that's classic, is Cosby Show. Now, I know maybe some of y'all didn't mention it just based off of him being...
I forgot about Cosby Show.
Cosby Show might have to be the GOAT, low-key. But,
Because they took it off the air.
They did take it off the air. And they put my man in the jail cell.
Like, they took it off the air because of that situation when hundreds of former sitcom stars have gone to prison for, like, nefarious things. Like, they didn't take Different Strokes off the air when Willis went to jail for his drug problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. He was a fiend. Like,
Bonaducci?
Yeah.
Bonaducci was wild.
Yeah, the Seventh Heaven guy.
Seventh Heaven dude was wild.
Like, Seventh Heaven father was wild. They still show Seventh Heaven.
I'm actually like really shocked at how much stuff is still on TV, but the people in it are connected with some like really serious things. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's true, but there's a whole bunch of other conspiracies as to why they took down Cosby and Cosby in particular.
Does a different world still on? Do they still show that in syndication?
They might not actually, because that's a Cosby production. So they.
Yo, that's wild, son. Like so, anything with Cosby's name doesn't get shown anymore.
That might be the case.
They pulled R. Kelly on. They just canceled that shit.
Yeah. But hey, man, Cosby Show is still one of the greatest of all time. It's like it showed again a different element of Black life. You know what I'm saying? Black family more so. You know what I'm saying? And what that's like in a different kind of area. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like the counter to Good Times, maybe a little bit.
I think what's crazy is that I've heard people say they didn't watch the Cosby Show because some people like, and now it's not speaking for all Black people, but some people say they couldn't relate to it. They related more like Martin. That's why Martin is always at the consensus. Because everybody relates to like Martin, I guess from that time, I guess. Like they asked, who was it? Freddie Gibbs. They were like, what sitcom did you like better? Did you like Fresh Prince? Did you like Martin? He was like, Martin, because that nigga's from Detroit and I'm from Gary. He's like, I didn't grow up with a rich uncle, so I couldn't relate to that nigga. And I was like, I mean, the show is still funny, but that's kind of like, that's funny that he would say that. Like, you wouldn't be interested in the show because you don't know niggas like, Dr. Huxtable.
Heathcliff Huxtable. No, that was definitely a big thing. I feel like there's more Uncle Phils than there are Heathcliff.
There's more Uncle Phils.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's more Uncle Phils than Heathcliff Huxtables.
I know growing up, I really didn't rock with the Cosby shows. I got older, I liked it. But like when I was a kid, like it didn't resonate with me. I didn't connect to it.
Because it wasn't funny.
I say the same thing. I didn't. It wasn't until I got. my thing with the Cosby Show is less of me like enjoying it as like one of my favorite sitcoms. It is more so of the appreciation of what it did for sitcoms as a whole. Like just what it did for like black sitcoms, what it did for sitcoms on TV, what it meant to have the.
I was like, how do you like?
But I don't think but it's definitely not funny. It's no. The next one I have on my list is Martin, and it's definitely not funnier than Martin. I think Martin, as far as pure comedy, there's no sitcom on TV that is ever, maybe one other that's on my list, but there's no other sitcom that has come close as far as pure comedy. Just hilarious jokes, just funny, like I'm dying laughing watching these episode type shit of everyday life. No one has come close. The characters that this man played on TV, like no one has come close to the comedy breath that this man Martin Lawrence displayed on that thing. Not only him, you got Tommy, you got Cole, you got Pam. I mean, Gina was cool. I like Gina. She did it. But all the other ones are comedy like giants, you know what I'm saying? And they're slaying every single scene. They're bringing it. Like, it's no...
Cole was the second funniest.
Cole was
hilarious, yeah.
Cole was hilarious.
Tommy was hilarious, too.
Tommy was right there, though.
Tommy's
right there.
Tommy's up to Cole.
And then Pam snapping, you know what I'm saying? So it's like...
Pam was going in, too.
They brought it every scene, bro.
It's up there, because I do remember laughing so hard. This is when I used to, back in my smoking days, I got so high I was laughing that morning, I passed out and woke up like the next morning.
Damn.
Laughing hard at that joint. I don't remember, like, I don't even, you know what it was? I think it was the 4th season, too. And that's like when it was going on, like, the downturn. But that thing was still funny to me, though.
Right, even Ben fucked with Martin, son. And like this nigga didn't even watch black shows like that.
It'd be like that.
After Martin is the one that I think is the white Martin to me. I mean, obviously it's a little less characters, but it's still the white Martin to me. Or you can say Martin's the black. I don't know which one came first exactly, but Seinfeld. Seinfeld is a show about nothing. And literally people have tried to replicate this so much since Seinfeld came out. Like everyone tries to do the show that's not really about anything, but stuff's happening. Like everyone tries. It's never been perfected to the level that Seinfeld has done it. Jerry Seinfeld, obviously one of the greatest comedians of all time. His cast is also another powerhouse cast of fucking comedians. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Elaine and Kramer and George, like, what? And then you got Newman? Like, come on, man. I
don't know about Kramer, dog. I don't know. You might have to take Kramer off the list.
Look, Kramer he's a racist. Screamed nigger like 5 times.
I mean, he was funny in the show, though. He was funny in the show. I get it.
You guys say, out of everybody that had a nigger rant, Kramer has a legendary nigger rant. Like, he went off with them.
I think it's so legendary because it came out of nowhere. It wasn't like a prepared speech. It wasn't something like he came in there ready to say. He got into his feelings like at that moment. It was like,
he said, "Oh, you're going to sit there and troll me."
Like that anger that came out, he was just like, these niggas. Like, like, he didn't want to say. You could tell he didn't want to say, but he was just like, he's like
you want to get heckled that day.
He's a nigga. 50 years ago, we had you all tied down with a fucking
yeah, that's the wildest response to a heckler I've ever seen in my life. You know, in the context of Seinfeld, he was alright. You know,
I think that was the first time a comedian got heckled. He just wasn't ready. He just came out.
He just went straight.
He just started just calling somebody a nigga, like just the most racist thing that you ever like. Why is that the first thing that you reach for? Like, you just
nothing else to come out
reach
about.
past, you know, to get to that. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta think. Maybe he saw him outside the club beforehand. It's like, damn, you got a better car than me. You seen his girl better than me.
Well, you know what? You're just a nigga.
He got a better hairline. He got better everything. He don't know what to say.
They probably did. They probably said something to him earlier when he came. He said, "Man, ain't that Kramer?" He was like, "My name is Michael Richards." He was like, "Nah."
My fifth one, and this is one. It's more so. So this is one of my sister's actual favorite sitcoms, and I wouldn't say I necessarily love this sitcom, but I appreciate it for what it did because this is like the grandfather of all sitcoms. I Love Lucy. Now that's very weird because like I don't think I really just was like, oh my gosh, I love Lucy. I love that's my favorite. But as far as like what a sitcom is, that literally is the actual blueprint. Like literally, You go watch I Love Lucy, you see every sitcom that we just talked about took everything that they learned from I Love Lucy. Like all of the jokes, all the situations, all of it is all from I Love Lucy. And I have to just give it up to it just off of that. Just based off of that, just not even like some personal favorite stuff, just off of like what it did for the genre, inventing it. I have to give it up to I Love Lucy. And
I'll
that's
give you that.
Lonzo Ball or Lucille Ball?
Well,
I'm gonna go Lucille Ball. I can't even lie. I fuck with Lonzo. That's my guy, but I can't lie. I'm going Lucille.
But yo, I got an honorable mention because I forgot it. I got It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's a good one.
Ones.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That joint had me like, and I think it's just for the fact, like you was talking about Seinfeld, and no other show has done what they've done as far as like the show about nothing. I think that's the closest to
That's
it.
the closest.
But it's like it's OD though, because like the episodes be like too wild for like something that Seinfeld did. Like Seinfeld had like they were like the first ones to do stuff, and then like Curb Your Enthusiasm did it, and then you guys Always Sunny, because kind of like Seinfeld had like the one episode where like they all bet that who wouldn't beat off the longest, but they didn't say that back then. But that's what the episode was about. But then you got Curb Your Enthusiasm with the wild stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like Larry, you know, it's like, oh, you long ball Larry. Larry got long balls. Like,
Yo,
then,
Larry David is one of the most funny people ever, my nigga.
That's what I'm saying. And then Always Sunny got like their first episode, which is the episode that got them picked up in the first place, called The Gang Gets Racist. Like, nobody ever do that. Yeah. No episode was about these niggas. Like,
but what I love about it is like, you know, JB Smooth's in the show and shit, and like he's in on a lot of that, you know, type shit too. And it kind of makes it like watchable to me. Like,
on current
jokes sometimes, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, those three shows, I think, like, I feel like those should be like the top. Because I forgot about It's Always Sunny until you mentioned like Seinfeld about the premise of it. But I think those three are top only because they push the envelope. Like, nobody wants to push the envelope. They can be funny, but those shows like they like step over that line where you like, oh, son, like.
I agree.
Yo,
but
like while we're going through these lists, I actually picked out some more actual shows. I want to say one that really pushed the envelope was early in it was All in the Family. I don't know if y'all watched that. I know my grandmother loved that.
Wow.
All in the Family is really wild. Like they
Archie
went there.
Bunker.
They went there. Like it went really far. He said whatever. He didn't care. He went at it, but it kind of led for growth. All in the Family, Archie Bunker was low-key Trump before Trump. Like he came out there and he was on your TV screen and he said whatever. And he made people feel a certain way, which in essence, it brought out the reality of people that it made them human. So in essence, somebody that feels that way is human because you're seeing that right there. You're seeing a slight amount of growth in them. You're seeing the person that's kind of going against the antagonist that's kind of fighting against where he's thinking, trying to get him to change his fault. They're thinking back and forth. It's kind of progressing to a degree. He's somebody that's kind of like, in essence, he's a hateful person, but you saw the humanity in him, or you seen the people. He hated his daughter's, I don't remember if it was fiance or husband, whatever they were at the moment, but like he didn't really say you got to get the F out and don't come back. Dude was staying there. As much as he wanted him not to be there, he was still staying there. Some other joints, Everybody Hates Chris. Everybody Hates Chris is hilarious. Like that joint.
I was gonna mention that as one of my honorable mentions actually.
Damn, I cut your list off.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying like that.
All right, true. Like I got a few more to go. Like I brought like a little slight list right here. So like another joint that's early.
Yeah.
Married with Children.
Loving the Married. That's my dad. All right, so I gotta tell you about Married with Children. As a young child, like that's my dad. My dad religiously watched this guy Al Bundy. Like,
same with mine. Yeah.
I don't think I understood it, but as you get older and you understand, like, yo, that's a funny sitcom. Like, that's a hilarious.
My man was
on TV. Too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
I didn't. That nigga used to snap.
That's the man's man on TV. You know what I'm saying? Like,
on the fat women, and then like his neighbors.
Yeah, he was hilarious, and like, you know what? That's like such a dad sitcom. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't even exist in today's climate.
Right, like because it's so like if you look at it from like the lens of today, it's like the most sexist thing on television. Like my man had the group No Ma'am and all that. He like started a search for it and all that.
Yeah. That's a classic, yo. That's a classic. I'm glad you brought that one up. That's a classic.
Yeah, Married with Children. Damn.
Married with Children's a
I
classic.
got another joint. I don't know how y'all feel about this. What about the Jamie Foxx show?
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Jamie
Maybe
Foxx-
Foxhole was pretty good. That's underrated.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx is cool. I don't know if I would have it as like a top 5 because it's
feel
like
you.
this. Cause it doesn't have as many memorable moments as like Martin or the
Yeah.
Wayans brothers, but it has its moments though.
I feel you. That joint, I liked it. It didn't. It felt like it had a fall off to me personally. Like it was
did.
cool.
It did. It
I
had a-
watched it. I watched quite a bit of it, but it wasn't. Honestly, I don't go back to the Jamie Foxx show, but I still respect for what it did at the moment. It was kind
The
of running.
episodes I watched most of the time were the ones that had Mark Curry in it. And those are the joints I usually like watch on rerun where he was like the driving instructor in one episode.
Sure.
And then he was like the lawyer in another episode. Like he
He
was like,
come-
he was the funniest part of like those 2 episodes. I don't remember what the episodes were about. I just remember Mark Curry's and them joints. Just
I feel like they definitely fell off. I think when they like tried to engage like Fancy and Jamie like it toward like the later season and stuff like that. But
I think it fell off when he worked at Jingles 2000. And then it fell right at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he had one episode with the roaches. That joint had me dead. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that roaches get out the house.
the theme song is the shit.
Yo, the
Which
theme song
one-
is fire.
Which theme song? Which one? Because he was like, he had like 2.
That's true. Tonight,
But it's not better than In the House.
check out my flow.
Oh yeah, that's the first one. The second one.
Yeah, that joint. That's the hard one.
That's the first one.
Again.
Yeah, but I do remember he did change it up. Yeah, that's the joint.
Dancing, and then he's like,
Oh man, that's another conversation. Top 5 theme songs and sitcoms. Like, oh man.
That's a,
In the House is like #1, bro. Y'all wilding on the In the House.
But come on, Fresh Prince is #1 though. Like Fresh Prince is the
Fresh Prince is #1. Son,
In the House
In the House is the shit, dog.
Yeah, In the House.
No diggity, no doubt, baby. Bro, that's my shit.
That shit was hard.
Yo,
We go another honorable mention because Rex mentioned Friends, and Friends is a monumental sitcom in its own right. The one that it borrowed from though was In Living Single.
I had that on my list too.
I forgot about it.
Living Single was another joint.
And that's one of the top ones. Like that's a top sitcom of all time. That's a top sitcom. Like
I never really watched it.
What about Jamal and Eddie?
I'm gonna leave that off my list. I'll be real with you.
Malcolm and Eddie, my fault.
You lying about Malcolm and Eddie, bro.
Yo,
Malcolm and Eddie. You pulled that out of nowhere, my nigga.
You can leave that where you found that joint.
Like shit. I only remember that Halloween episode with that nigga.
Right.
That's crazy.
I watched that when I was younger, and I think I seen that episode not too long ago, and I cut that joint off.
Yo, Malcolm and Eddie, I don't even know how many seasons they had. They couldn't have had more than like
I
3
don't want to
episodes.
know how many seasons that joint had.
Oh, man. There are so many hilarious, like forgotten, like joints, like The Rock Show and shit. Like, there's just so many, like.
Yo, Rock was supposed to be like the Cosby Show, but and he was cool. Right. He was right. That's
Yo,
all it is. Because they
that's
had
right.
the same lessons from the Cosby Show, but they were
Right.
like, you
The
want to
guy
get
was-
into like, oh, the blackest, the real
Like
blackest.
shit. That's what he was trying to do.
I seen an episode of Rock where a dude was like going against a crack dealer. That joint was wild. He's like, "You sell crack in my neighborhood. You need to get out of my neighborhood." He's like, "Dude, I'm gonna give you this money."
The drug
Yo.
dealer was like Clifton Powell.
Yeah, he was.
Like, yeah.
That
He
joint had
was
me
like,
dead.
you selling drugs in my neighborhood? And Clifton
I
was
seen
like,
the
no, that's,
what's the other one? That's My Mama, I think it's called.
son, that's like the
Yo.
only sitcom based in DC.
I'll be real with you about That's My Mama, son. Like, I didn't know that was a real show when I heard about it in Coming to America, son. Like,
For real?
I didn't know. I found out afterwards, so I started laughing so much harder at Coming to
hell-
America when they were saying that one joint from the something episode of That's My Mama. Like, I literally died hearing that joint, son.
That's my mama. I learned about
What
that
about the Parkers?
guy.
Parker's is mad
Parker's-
funny. I ain't gonna fake.
Parker's is
Like,
dope.
that joint mad
Hey man,
funny,
look, black. When we get to black sitcoms, we gonna mention the Parker, Moesha, and
I
all.
had Moesha up
We gonna get
there,
them up in there, man. We gonna-
girlfriends.
Girlfriends, everybody
Oh,
hate
God,
Chris.
girlfriends.
Sister. Come on, man. We gotta get them all.
Yeah.
We gotta get them all in there. But yo, guys, we had a great combo tonight, man. I think we touched on a lot of dope things. It's a great pod. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we leave the people?
Shoot, I could say something like, keep your mind thinking. Don't stay in a box. You might be trapped in a house. You might be trapped in a room. but your mind isn't trapped there. You can always read something, try to learn something, listen to something new. If all you do is on YouTube is watch like regular videos, try to find something where you can learn a little bit more, like learn about yourself, learn about the future, learn about the past, learn a new skill. Like everybody says you need to learn something. Make it fun, you know what I'm saying? Like you might not want to learn a language, but shoot, you can learn something about your area. Google whatever city you're from, try to find some history about it. Find whatever like opens your mind and be willing to learn something new. You'll never know where that's power to.
Wise words from Ascension. Trey?
I don't really have nothing, man. Scension just gave the full, like, knowledge is power speech. I don't got nothing to back up. Right, yeah, that's good enough for me.
All right, so a ditto for Trey. Rex?
Man, fuck Nas. Nah, this is a good podcast as always. We hope that everybody did good, and we just gotta keep them coming. You know what I'm saying? Gotta keep it rolling.
For sure, man. And I'll just close with, again, a great pod, and everybody out there, make sure that keeping up with your health. Don't stay stagnant while you're in the quarantine. Get out there, keep your distance, but you can get out there and walk, enjoy the sun, enjoy the summer vibes, and check out the High Voltage podcast when you're bored. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.